through science, social science, humanities, and research. The auspicious beginning of this day by inviting Mr. F. Abbas Murtaza Shamsi, Manager, Shia PG College, to give a welcome address. Mr. Shamsi belongs to a well-known family of Varanasi and is actively engaged in the social movement in eradication of illiteracy. He has been an active participant in student politics and also in various social issues from his student life onwards. I would hand over the platform to Mr. Shamsi to begin the conference.
थैंक यू नंदिनी शर्मा जी। आवाज आ रही है?
जी सर।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया नंदिनी जी। इस चौथे इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस जो डेवलपिंग अप न्यू इंडिया थ्रू साइंस, सोशोलॉजी, सोशल साइंस, ह्यूमैनिटी एंड रिसर्च के टॉपिक पर हो रहा है, जिसके ऑर्गेनाइजिंग सेक्रेटरी आगा परवेज मसीह साहब, डॉक्टर सैयद साजिद काजमी साहब और डॉक्टर मेहंदी अली साहब हैं। और इसके अलावा जितने भी हमारे प्रोफेसर, डॉक्टर, शिक्षा भी जो भी हमारे इसमें ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं, उन सब का मैं इस इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस में दिली हार्दिक इस्तकबाल करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं, स्वागत करता हूं, वेलकम करता हूं। जैसा आप जानते हैं, ये टॉपिक अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा टॉपिक है। हमें हिंदुस्तान को आगे लेके जाना है, एक नए इंडिया को पूरी दुनिया में प्रस्तुत करना है। सब जानते हैं कि 1947 में जब हिंदुस्तान आज़ाद हुआ था, तो अंग्रेजों ने इसको इतना चूस लिया था कि भूखा नंगा हिंदुस्तान था। न हिंदुस्तान के पास खाने के लिए अनाज था, न पहनने के लिए उतना कपड़ा था, सिवाय आबादी के अलावा हमारे पास और कुछ भी न था। हमने अपनी माजी की गलतियों से सबक लिया। जब पूरी दुनिया ऑक्सफोर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी और हार्वर्ड यूनिवर्सिटी बना रही थी, तो हमने ताजमहल, कुतुब मीनार और लाल किले जैसे इमारत को, मॉन्यूमेंट्स को पूरी दुनिया को दिया। आज भी हमारी कला क्षेत्र के अंदर पूरी दुनिया हमारा लोहा मानती है। लेकिन आज़ादी के बाद, क्योंकि ये टॉपिक ऐसा है, इसलिए मैं चाहता हूं कि 2 मिनट इस टॉपिक पर भी बोला जाए। इस आज़ादी के बाद ये हमने तय किया, उस वक़्त के जो हुक्मरान थे उन्होंने ये तय किया कि अब हमें शिक्षा जगत के अंदर प्रवेश करते हुए साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी के सहारे एक नए हिंदुस्तान की स्थापना करनी है। उसकी स्थापना 1947 में जो उस वक्त के हुक्मरान थे, उससे लेकर के आज तक जो हमारे हुक्मरान हैं, जो हमारे इस सरकार को चलाने वाले हैं, जो हिंदुस्तान के शिक्षा जगत के अलावा हर समाज के हर तबके से आती हैं, वो हिंदुस्तान को चलाने के लोगों ने सोचा कि अब हिंदुस्तान को शिक्षा, टेक्नोलॉजी और ह्यूमैनिटी के आगे के माध्यम से आगे बढ़ाया जाएगा, साइंस के थ्रू बढ़ाया जाएगा, टेक्नोलॉजी के थ्रू बढ़ाया जाएगा। इसकी कोशिश की गई और इसमें कोई शक नहीं कि 1947 के बाद, आज़ाद होने के बाद, बहुत जल्दी ही अगस्त 1948 में हमने एटॉमिक एनर्जी का मिशन बनाया। होमी जे भाभा के नेतृत्व में इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी 1950 में बनाया। डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी, डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ साइंटिफिक रिसर्च एंड नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज, इन सब की स्थापना करके हिंदुस्तान को आगे बढ़ाने की बात की। आप जानते ही हैं कि स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी का कितना ज़्यादा महत्व इस दुनिया के अंदर है। इसके अंदर विक्रम साराभाई जो इंडियन स्पेस रिसर्च ऑर्गेनाइजेशन 1969 में बना, जिससे आज पूरे हिंदुस्तान ने अपने सैटेलाइट भेजे। सबसे पहला सैटेलाइट हमारा जो है वो आर्यभट्ट था, जो 1975 में हमने दिया। वो लॉन्च हुआ सोवियत रूस से। वो अलग बात है कि हमारे पास लॉन्चिंग पैड नहीं था, लेकिन आज हमने उस लॉन्चिंग पैड के माध्यम, हमने खुद अपने यहाँ लॉन्चिंग पैड डेवलप किया और आज हम चंद्रयान और मंगलयान जैसे हम अपने यहाँ वो स्पेस के अंदर हम सैटेलाइट भेज रहे हैं। मेरा कहने का मतलब यह है कि हिंदुस्तान की तरक्की में आज इसका बहुत बड़ा हाथ है। स्पेस टेक्नोलॉजी से हम जो भी है, चाहे साइक्लोन वार्निंग सिस्टम हो, चाहे इंडियन सुनामी अर्ली वार्निंग सिस्टम हो, चाहे 5G का सिस्टम हो, आज जितनी भी चीजें हैं उससे हम ये पता लगा सकते हैं कि कब पानी बरसने वाला है, कब पानी नहीं बरसेगा, कब कैसा मौसम होगा, और बहुत सी इससे साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी की इससे डेवलपमेंट होती रही है। ये अपने आप में हिंदुस्तान का शिक्षा जगत में कदम था जो हमने आज़ादी के बाद ही शुरू कर दिया था। उसके बाद भी हेल्थ सेक्टर जो हमारा सबसे बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट था, कभी एक वक्त में हिंदुस्तान में 1950 के वक्त जब हमारा हिंदुस्तान आज़ाद हुआ था, तो उस वक्त जो एवरेज लाइफ थी वो 33 ईयर्स, ये अपने आप में बहुत कम। इसमें कोई शक नहीं कि आयुर्वेद से लेके वो तमाम चीज़ें हमारे पास थी, लेकिन हम उसका सही इस्तेमाल नहीं कर पाए जब हम हिंदुस्तान आज़ाद हुआ, क्योंकि हम पूरी तरह से गुलाम थे। हम अपनी किसी भी इंडिजिनस जो भी हमारी अपनी संपदा थी, उसका पूरा इस्तेमाल हम नहीं कर पाए। हमने आज़ादी के बाद उसका इस्तेमाल करते हुए आज जब हम हेल्थ और सेक्टर के अंदर देखते हैं, तो हमारे यहाँ एवरेज जो एज है वो 69 ईयर से अबव है। ये अपने आप में हमारे हेल्थ सेक्टर के बहुत ज़्यादा डेवलपमेंट रहा, और इसके लिए हमारे जो शिक्षाविद हैं, जो साइंटिस्ट हैं, उन्होंने बड़ी मेहनतें की। ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी बात है। हमने हिंदुस्तान के अंदर कभी मलेरिया, स्मॉल पॉक्स, ट्यूबरकुलोसिस, पोलियो, ये सब छोटी-छोटी बीमारियों पे बहुत इलाज नहीं होता था। हमने उसको सब ठीक किया, और हमारे साइंटिस्ट ने इसको ठीक करने में, इसके लिए जो वैक्सीन्स बनाई, वो अपने आप में मिसाल है। आज पूरी दुनिया के अंदर वैक्सीन, हिंदुस्तान के अंदर वैक्सीन का हब है, और कोविड-19 में सबने देखा कि किस तरह से हमने हिंदुस्तान के विकास के अंदर 100 करोड़ से ज़्यादा वैक्सीन सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान के अंदर हमने यहाँ के नागरिकों को फ्री उपलब्ध कराई, और बाद में इन्हीं साइंटिस्टों के ज़रिए हम इसी वैक्सीन को पूरी दुनिया में भेज सके। इससे इन तमाम चीज़ों में साइंस का बहुत बड़ा योगदान रहा है, और हिंदुस्तान के वो साइंटिस्ट जिन्होंने हिंदुस्तान को आगे बढ़ाने का शपथ लिया, और हिंदुस्तान के वो हुक्मरान जिन्होंने उनको पूरी तरह से अपने साथ रखा, आज हिंदुस्तान इस टेक्नोलॉजी, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी के अंदर इस तरह से आगे बढ़ रहा है। जैसा कि आप जानते हैं, आदमी की सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत होती है फूड ग्रेन, जो खेती से उपलब्ध होता है। कभी एक वक्त में हमारे पास, जब हमने बताया हिंदुस्तान आज़ाद हुआ था, तो एकदम खाने के लिए नहीं था अनाज, हम बाहर से मोटे अनाज मंगाते थे। आज ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन के अंतर्गत हमने जो है हाई यील्ड वैरायटी ऑफ सीड से पूरे हिंदुस्तान को आज हम खाना दे रहे हैं। एक वक्त में कभी पूरी दुनिया के अंदर नॉर्मन बोरलॉग 1960 में, जो फादर ऑफ ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन कहलाते हैं, जिनको नोबेल भी मिल चुका है, उन्होंने पूरे दुनिया के अंदर इस रिवॉल्यूशन को बढ़ाया। लेकिन हमें खुशी है कि इंडियन साइंटिस्ट एम.एस. स्वामीनाथन ने सबसे पहले ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन को हिंदुस्तान के अंदर इस तरह से किया कि आज हम पूरी तरह से एग्रीकल्चर के ऊपर डिपेंड है। हमें कोई ज़रूरत नहीं है कहीं से बाहर अनाज ले आने की, बल्कि हम जो है वो पूरी दुनिया को अनाज सप्लाई करते हैं। ये हमारे साइंटिस्ट, ये हम चूँकि इंडिया को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी और सोशल साइंस इम्यूनिटी के माध्यम से, उसकी ये बहुत बड़ी एक मिसाल मिलती है। मैं बता दूं, जैसा कि आप सब जानते हैं, पूरी दुनिया में डिफेंस ज़रूरी है, और आप जानते ही हैं कि हमारे अगल-बगल के जो हमारे मित्र राष्ट्र हैं, वो किस तरह से हमारे ऊपर नज़र गड़ाए हुए हैं। लेकिन हमारे साइंटिस्ट के माध्यम से हमने पूरी तरह से मिसाइल बनाया, और उसके लिए एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम साहब जो मिसाइल मैन कहलाते हैं, उन्होंने ऐसी-ऐसी मिसाइल बनाई कि आज हिंदुस्तान पूरी तरह से सुरक्षित है। तो मैं जो कहना चाहता हूँ कि साइंस के ज़रिए से किसी भी मुल्क को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए, चाहे कोर बैंकिंग हो, चाहे डिजिटल आज इकोनॉमी हो, आज सब के अंदर हिंदुस्तान इन्हीं साइंटिस्टों के ज़रिए आगे बढ़ रहा है। और हमें बहुत ही खुशी है कि हम पूरी दुनिया के अंदर अपनी साइंस और टेक्नोलॉजी के माध्यम से जो हम दौड़ में हैं, आज हम विश्व में 5वें नंबर पर, 4थे नंबर पर आते हैं। ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ी बात है। मैं उन तमाम साइंस और जितने भी टेक्नोलॉजी के लोग हैं, जो प्रोफेसर हैं, डॉक्टर्स हैं, शिक्षाविद हैं, या जिन्होंने इस देश को आगे बढ़ाने में काम किया है, उन सब का इस्तकबाल करते हुए मैं आप तमाम लोगों का इस्तकबाल भी करता हूँ कि अभी मंजिल ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने पूरी तरह से पा लिया है, अभी हमें बहुत आगे जाना है। हिंदुस्तान को चौथे नंबर पर या पांचवें नंबर पे नहीं बल्कि विश्व में नंबर 1 पर बनाना है। इसके लिए ये जो नेशनल इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस हो रही है, चौथी इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस, वो डेवलपिंग न्यू इंडिया थ्रू साइंस, सोशल साइंस, ह्यूमैनिटी एंड रिसर्च की, उसके अंदर मैं उम्मीद करता हूँ कि हमारे साइंटिस्ट आगे आने वाले दिनों में हिंदुस्तान को पूरी दुनिया के अंदर नंबर 1 पर ले आएंगे। इसी उम्मीद के साथ मैं इस कॉन्फ्रेंस का उद्घाटन भी करता हूँ। इस कॉन्फ्रेंस को मैं चाहता हूँ कि आगे बढ़ाया जाए, इससे हमारे जो भी छात्र छात्राएं हैं, वो जो भी लाभान्वित होना चाहें, वो जो भी इसके लिए पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं, उन सब का इस्तकबाल करते हुए मैं ये उम्मीद करता हूँ कि ये तमाम लोग, ये जो बच्चे आए हैं या प्रोफेसर्स आए हैं, इनकी बात सुन करके ये बच्चे, ये देश उसको अनुसरण करते हुए आगे बढ़ेगा। इसी उम्मीद के साथ आप तमाम लोगों का स्वागत भी करता हूँ और शुक्रिया भी अदा करता हूँ परवेज नसीर साहब का, इन्होंने बहुत ही अच्छी ये कॉन्फ्रेंस बुलाई है। इस कॉन्फ्रेंस से कामयाब हो, इस कॉन्फ्रेंस से आम छात्र छात्राएं लाभान्वित हो, इस उम्मीद के साथ आप तमाम लोगों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
शुक्रिया सर। आपके इन कुछ शब्दों के साथ अब हम आगे बढ़ना चाहेंगे और शुरू करना चाहेंगे आज का जो प्रोग्राम है। With this, I move forward to invite our first speaker in a line of session of lectures, Professor Raza Mir, William Patterson University, USA, who will be delivering a lecture on the topic Management Mantra, India as a Global Leader in 21st Century. To briefly introduce Professor Raza A. Mir is Professor of Management at William Patterson University in New Jersey, USA. He did his PhD from University of Massachusetts and PGDM from Indian Institute of Management, India. He received the William Patterson University Award for Outstanding Scholarship university-wide in May 2018 and Beta Gamma Stigma Award for Best Teacher, School of Business Administration, Monmouth University in 2001. He holds a PhD from University of Massachusetts, a PGDM from IIMC, and a BE from Osmania University. He is also a known author and editor of 10 books, the last one of which was Philosophy and Management Studies, a research overview. With this, I would want to hand over the platform to Professor Raza Mir. Also, sir, thank you for your patience. Sir, you're on mute right now.
Thank you, Nandini. And that was a very warm and wonderful introduction. And I also want to thank Shamsi Saab for his very beautiful and cogent opening remarks, which were really very useful for me. I know that this is a tight schedule that you have, and we are running a little late, so I will try to give back 5 to 10 minutes of the time by speeding up my presentation so that we are not further and further delayed. I've just briefly changed the title of my presentation, and I'm calling it Indian Industry in the 21st Century, Examining Global Opportunities. I would like to first of all express my great appreciation to Dr. Sajid Kazmi, and when he commands me to speak, I come and speak. But I do understand that this is a conference which is primarily for psychologists, psychiatrists, and mental health professionals. And so when he invited me to speak here, I tried to push back and said, "Mera yahan kya kaam hai?" This is a very different set of professionals. But he insisted and he commanded, and so here I am. And so I thought to myself, I would quickly talk about the intersection between mental health and the economy. There are certain ways in which my profession and your profession, which is mental health and psychology and psychiatry, intersect. Now, first of all, India is a very young country. We are getting a little older, but it is believed that 47 to 48% of Indians are under the age of 25. That means, a population twice the size of Europe, under 25, lives in India. And it is very difficult for them to think about a life for the next several decades if they don't understand where their economic trajectory is going to go. And it is really incumbent upon people who are running the country to make sure that we provide opportunities for them, to provide jobs for them. And that's the first and the most important thing. If there are no jobs, then we will have a tremendous amount of strain that is put particularly on the minds of our youngsters. So economic planning is antecedent, I said, to psychological planning, because economic well-being is antecedent to psychological well-being. The middle point that I have made here is that economic growth correlates with inequality. This is a very strange situation. As Shamsi Sahab was saying, India was a very poor country in 1947, but that poverty was in many ways a shared poverty. There were very few super rich people in India. And so everybody was kind of going along. Now, when we, especially after 1991, when the trajectory of Indian growth went to 10, 12, 7, 8, 10%, the rising tide did not lift all boats, as they say. Some people became really good, some people became really well-to-do, and others, although they did not really go down, the gap between the rich and the poor went up, and it correlated with a lot of inequality. Now, those of you who are psychologists know that equity is very important to a human being. They want to feel that they are on par with other human beings that are next to them, that are their neighbors. And so it is not enough to say that, you are better off than your parents. If you're not better off than your neighbors, you're constantly going to feel a lot of psychological pressure. So if you are planning an economy, then you really want to make sure that there are enough opportunities, particularly for the lower section of society. And that's what I want to talk about. Now, the dominant economic theory that people talk about when dealing with the international world is that of globalization. Now, globalization, everybody knows, everybody has a different opinion on what constitutes globalization. But one of the things that we know is that global theories of globalization say you can make things anywhere, you can sell things anywhere, the world is becoming very super connected, and that is not always true. So what I'm offering is a counter argument to globalization that says that there is something to be said about thinking about a national economy. And if you take a country like India, then what are the determinants of India's national competitive advantage? India should not be a country that is in every industry. There are certain industries where India now has a competitive advantage, so we should focus on that. So if there are other places, for example, large-scale manufacture of computer chips is not necessarily India's strength. So rather than waste economic resources in doing that, we should really focus on what India is good at, what India can actually produce so that they can export to the world. And then you can import the rest. So you want to create a certain kind of industries where you have national competitive advantage. So there is this fellow called Michael Porter. Michael Porter said there are 4 determinants of national competitive advantage. So I want to talk very quickly about them and then move on. The first one, he said, is that it's called firm strategy, structure, and rivalry here. But what I'm basically saying is, okay, in some industry, if there is a lot of local industries, local firms competing against each other, that is where a national competitive advantage is there. For example, Indian software companies. Now, Indian software companies, there are many, right? There's Infosys, there is Wipro, there is TCS, and there are a lot of smaller players. They are all competing with each other in the same space, in the Indian economic space. Because they do well in the Indian economic space, they end up becoming globally competitive. That is point number one. Point number two is factors of production. What are the factors? You know, in economic theory, the most common factors of production are land, labor, and capital. For example, Saudi Arabia. Now, we all know that Saudi Arabia will have a national competitive advantage in the production of oil because oil exists there, right? Now, what is it that India has? Now, all factors of production do not have to be God-given. They can also be man-made. So I could say that the presence of qualified software engineers in India can become a huge factor of production. So I'm focusing a little bit about software here, but I really want to use that to make a generalized point about the fact that if a country has advantages in factors of production, then it can be globally competitive. The third thing is related and supporting industries. So, for example, if you have Italy, Italy is known to be a great manufacturer of leather goods. So what you will find is that Italy has the best tanneries, Italy has the best leather treatment facilities, Italy has the best marketing apparatus for shoes and belts and purses and other things. So like that, if you can develop related and supporting industries, you know, Mumbai is one of the great producers of films, right? Bollywood is there. Now, if you go there, you will find that the best film studios are there, the best editing studios are there, the best special effects studios are there, distributors, exhibitors, actors, actresses, everybody lives in that area. And so that becomes a related and supporting industry. In terms of software, India also has a lot of, I mean, in the Bangalore area and in certain other parts of India, they have fiber optic cable laid out. You have a lot of labor and you have a lot of people who have become specialized in software manufacture. And the last thing is demand conditions. If a country has local demand, then it can become globally competitive. It is not enough to say, I will make things and all I will do is export them. It is not enough to export. You also have to have domestic consumption because the global cycles are up and down and up and down. International demand is a little difficult to predict. So if you take these four factors of production, then the planners of the Indian economy can use that and find the right industry where they can become competitive. And here I have some examples of business process management, which is really a form of software management. Now, there are three levels at which Indian companies compete. The first one is, you know, telemarketing. If somebody calls from the US to follow up on their credit card, if somebody wants to do from Europe their tax returns. So low level data entry and customer management is a very, very important element of the business process management industry. And Indians are good at that. But as India became good at this, slowly they have moved to this side, right? And now what they are doing is they are actually doing higher managerial level tasks. They are doing project management. They are doing machine learning models. They are helping companies plan their logistics and other things. This is the second stage. And now there's a third stage where slowly you will find, I really hope that we will go to the third stage where Indian companies will become the global leaders. The next generation of, Facebook or Amazon or Microsoft will come out of the Indian context. And we have a reason to hope, but time will tell. And so basically all I want to say in conclusion, because I think that the ground for the macroeconomic environment was very well covered by Shamsi Saab. So all I want to say is that India is moving on the right trajectory on a variety of industries. First, you go at the lower level, capture that, become good at that, produce a labor force, and then you move to the next and the next and the next level. And that will be the way in which the new Indian management will emerge. I thank you for your time, and I will yield back to Nandini.
Thank you so much, sir. I think in very short span of time, you have very clearly, briefly, and at the same time very comprehensively summed up the theme of your presentation. And if you allow me to compliment you, it's always a pleasure to listen to you and always present before us such concrete information which is relevant on a global level. So thank you, sir, for your presence.
All right, I'll stay and listen to the other things also.
I would also ask if anyone have any queries. So there's a question from a student, Abhay Srivastav. He says, I'm a student and a fan both. So he asks, what is the importance of literature in attaining a healthy mental well-being, and how can it bridge the gap between mental health and economy?
Thank you very much, Abhay. And, what you have touched upon is a different side of my personality, but I will answer that question. As you know, because you are all psychologists and mental health professionals, one of the greatest barriers to self-actualization, one of the greatest things that holds us back from being all that we can be, is when we find it difficult to communicate. I believe that every human being has very complex and very, should I say, intense thoughts that come all the time, but not all of us are able to translate those thoughts into language. And those of us who are able to do that, I think, end up having a little more balance mentally. This is my personal experience and my personal feeling. And to that extent, I believe that the consumption of literature, and it doesn't have to be very high literature, whatever it is, the consumption of culture even, it is better to read books because books are more complex instruments, but otherwise, being interested in movies and music and things like that, they really allow you to create those safety valves in our psyche that allow us to deal better with the world. So I think literature plays a very, very important role in producing mental health. Thank you. Thank you for your question.
Thank you so much, sir, for addressing that question. Since we don't have any other queries as of now, sir, we would end this session and now move forward to our next lecture. Thank you, sir. Moving ahead, our second lecture line is by Professor Nasreen from Department of Education, Aligarh Muslim University. She will be delivering a lecture on the topic Restructuring Teacher Education in the Light of National Education Policy 2020. Professor Nasreen is the former chairperson, Department of Education at Aligarh Muslim University. With an enriching academic, teaching, and research experience of more than 30 years, she is renowned in her areas of expertise, which entails methodology of teaching science, environmental education, education technology, and curriculum development. Professor Nasreen has been conferred with various fellowships, including Fellowship Award by the Rajasthan Council of Education Research and Administration for her outstanding contribution in the field of women empowerment, UGC Research Award in 2009, SARC Fellowship Award in Education 2000-2001, and Junior Research Fellowship and Eligibility for Lectureship held in December in 1991. An earnest social worker, Professor Nasreen has an immense interest in areas of job stress and occupational aspirations. Her articles and papers have been published in journals of national and international repute. With this, I would want to take the opportunity to hand over the platform to Professor Nasreen.
Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Nandini ji, introducing me. Thanks to organizing committee inviting me. And the topic on which I'm going to deliver the lecture is restructuring of teacher education program in the light of NEP 2020. In this lecture, I would like to explain that what was the structure of teacher education in the past days, in the present, and why there is need to change it, and what kind of new measures have been introduced in teacher education program very soon, and what kind of challenges a teacher education program is facing nowadays. So first, I would like to go through this history of teacher education. As you know, that teacher has a significant role in shaping the personality of every individual, every child. The first school is family. The child starts learning from family, and parenting is given by father and mother. But after that, as he grown up, he goes to the school to achieve the education and to achieve certain new kind of learning experiences. These all has a great responsibility on the part of teacher. A teacher has to play a significant and a vital role in education of a child. So we always need and we always emphasize that the teacher education program, where the training of the teacher is given, it should be strengthened so that we can produce good teachers. When we look into the past, we find that in Vedic period and in the Mughal period, there were in the schools, and teachers were followers of the teachers were the kind of role model for the students, that whatever he is saying, he has to follow it. Even there is a story of Arjuna from Vedic time, that once Guru went to market and he given a responsibility to the Arjuna, who was the student of Guru Dronacharya, that you have to look this ashrama. I am going to market with few students. The responsibility was that to look over all the vicinity of the ashrama. But suddenly there was a flow of water. When there was flow of water, the Arjuna took an action. He laid down on the ground and he thought that when I will be doing this, due to this, the water will be stopped and it will not be come to the ashrama. So I could be able to perform my duty. When Guru came and he saw the Arjuna in that position, he asked, why you are doing this? Arjuna replied you told me that this is my responsibility to look after the ashrama after you. So I did it so that the water could not be able to flow in that direction. So this was a kind of duties that a student had to play for the schools, and that he had to know that what I have to do in this direction. But later on, as the time changes, there was certain kind of changes, and we saw the philosophies of education in idealism, naturalism, pragmatism, existentialism. There is quite different role a teacher has to play, and the position of teacher was quite different in different periods. But when we entered into the this new century and the modern age, we found that the mentality or the thinking of the student and teacher quite changed with the passage of time. There was a lot of democracy, and the student has right to ask the question to the teacher, and teacher also interact with the students in a very democratic way, so that there should be a kind of good relationship between teacher and students. So there is transformation of leadership from autocratic environment to the democratic one. So this was a change from past to present. When we look into the NEP 2020, that is the latest version of this teacher education, we found that the NEP 2020 works on 5 basic principles. What are these principles? These principles are access, affordability, quality, equity, and equal kind of infrastructure that needed to provide education to the students. So these all principles are the basic principle on which the new education policy works on for teacher education. Along with this, NEP 2020 also says that there should be a kind of quality education in teacher education institutions. In present, we are running these all institutions in a separate entity. If whenever you go somewhere, you will find this is a teacher education institution. Here, training of teachers are given, and there is no linkage with any other institution. Only affiliation is required or from any university. So, mushroom growth of teacher education institutions you will find in India. And these mushroom growth or this rapid growth is not providing the quality education. This is the main worries of the teacher educators and the policymakers also. And to stop this kind of education, the NEP 2020 focused that the teacher education program should be introduced in a multidisciplinary institution. When I say multidisciplinary institution, it means an institution where several or various academic disciplines are being studied by the students. Say, for example, not only the education, not only the teacher, B.Ed and M.Ed, but all other subjects like philosophy, sociology, psychology, and history, these all be already running in the institution, and the teacher education program, that is B.Ed program, be linked with all the departments that already existing in the institution. So this is our priority, or this is the first most important change in the teacher education program, because there are always separate institutions that are running, that are providing degree or the certificates to the students. There is no linkage with other departments. So this is the need realized by the teacher educators, by the policy makers, that the teacher education program be linked with the multidisciplinary institutions where other departments are existing on it. But what is the reason of it? Can you think over it? The reason is that the teacher And the prospective teacher, rather say one who is going to be a teacher in future, he or she should have knowledge of subject. Subject knowledge is very essential because he is going to be a teacher of a science stream, going to be a teacher of social science stream, or maybe fine arts, or maybe literature. So instead only focusing on the pedagogy, there should be a knowledge element of this kind of subject. Say, for example, a student who is become a teacher of history, he must know deeply, thoroughly, he studied the subject of this history. Along with this, he is also responsible to learn the pedagogy. What is pedagogy? Pedagogy is science of teaching and learning.
Madam, excuse me, the slide is not moving.
See this, I have mentioned only the points on this. What I am saying, this is the history of education. Then specific features of NEP with regard to teacher education. I am the second point of this. This specific feature of NEP with regard to teacher education. आप समझे बात को? मैं इस पॉइंट पर हूँ. Specific.
Yes, madam, you are in the same slide. Okay, I understand.
Teacher education. Okay. So what the teacher education, as per NEP 2020, it says that there should be subject knowledge along with the pedagogy. Pedagogy is science of teaching and learning. So one who is going to be a teacher of any subject, he must study the subject thoroughly. Along with this, he should know the styles through which this subject can be imparted to the students in the school. So this is the first recommendation of NEP 2020. Another recommendation that is most important, as it is related to the school education also, that there will be 5 kind of teachers to be produced by the teacher education institution. One is foundational and preparatory school generalist teacher. Say for example, DELED जो चलता है हमारे यहाँ, we are running the diploma in elementary education. We are running diploma in education. So our students, those who want to become the teacher of the elementary stage, they must know that how the students will be dealing with the students and how they will be comfortable with teaching of other subjects. So this is the first foundational and preparatory school generalist teacher. Second kind of teacher is subject teachers for middle and secondary school, because they have divided the school education into several phases. So for each stage, there will be a special kind of teacher that will provide knowledge of subject as well as knowledge of pedagogy to the students. The third one is special education teacher, the teachers that know about the disabled or any kind of disability that exists or occur with the students. So special education teachers will be trained in a special kind of communication skills and special kind of imparting content or a special kind of way to dealing with the students, etc. Art teachers that will be expert in the visual and performing arts. Teacher for vocational education, those who want to go for vocational education and they will be trained in separately. Physical education teachers, they will be concerned with the sports and physical education. Now this is the next point, the structure of teacher education. Teacher education 4-year integrated teacher education program will be implemented in India in all departments of education. 4-year integrated means that after 12th, the student can get admission in this department of education, and this entry will be given after qualifying the common entrance test. That common entrance test will be organized by the NTA, National Testing Agency, and as the merit is there, on the basis of the merit, the training institutes or the other departments will be allotted to the students, and they will be going there to get the this training. So at present, we are giving this after graduation. After post-graduation, students are going for B.Ed, but this 4-year integrated program says exclusively for 12th passed students, those who have qualified 12th class, they will be eligible to enter in the next step of this 4-year integrated teacher education program. The merit of teacher education program, as I have written here, the merit of teacher education program is that we found, because we are working in teacher education institutions since long time, and whenever we interact with the students and asked that why did you opt this profession to become teacher, the answer is that I could not get admission in engineering college, or somewhere the student is saying I could not get admission in medical college, I could not get admission in MSc even, so better to go for the B.Ed, and it is easy to get the admission also. So this is the last choice of the students. Last choice of the student is in the sense that whenever you are not getting space anywhere, you are entering in this world, teaching world. So they don't know the exact worth of this profession. No doubt it is a valuable profession, and it is a kind of worthy profession, because the teacher is the, after parents, the teacher has to play a role. So teacher has several responsibilities that entrants or the new admitted students, those get chance by chance in the B.Ed institution, could not get the perception of correct perception of this profession. So in order to give the preference of the willing students, this change has been done, that only those who really want to become a teacher, they will enter in the world of teaching. So this will be by heart, not by chance. So this change in new education policy gives opportunity to enter in teacher education program to the willing students only. Recruitment of teacher, or the recruitment of teacher educators, rather say teacher educators. Say for example, those who are going to be teacher trainers or the teacher educators in Department of Education, they will be appointed after getting the degree of PhD, or there is a common entrance test of this UGC, this NET. So those who will qualify the NET examination, they will be eligible to get the job in teachers training institutions, and they must be masters of that particular subject also. So the teacher educators qualification for this post will be MSc, MEd, or with NET, or MA, MEd with NET. Those who have qualified fellowship, they will be allowed for the PhD also, and they get the fellowship during this tenure of PhD. So, but those who are going to become a teacher in the school, after getting the degree, they will be giving the chance of recruitment with scrutiny, or a keen kind of scrutiny, that they must have good academic record with B.Ed degree, and they must have this kind of knowledge, subject knowledge, and the pedagogy, knowledge of pedagogy also. When they entered in the schools, after passing through this B.Ed training, they will be empowered by the schools also, empowered in the sense that they have freedom to opt or to adopt the kind of teaching styles, and they have freedom to change the curriculum as per the requirement, and they have the freedom to know more about the word of teaching by going through the attending this workshops, seminars, and the kind of conferences. So those who are going to become a teacher, they will be empowered by the organizations, empowered by the government schools, empowered by the volunteer organizations and other kind of agencies, those who are working in the field of teacher education. Empowering in terms of salary, empowering in terms of infrastructure facilities will also be provided to the teachers, because this is a pious profession, so needs to improve and needs to improve the situation where they are working. So this is regarding the empowering teachers. Now, integration of this teacher education program in the this word of teaching, this all have been described in the National Education Policy. And along with this, the NEP 2020 also says that if there is need of any kind of art, visual arts, music, dance, the students, the prospective teachers will be provided the training of these kind of activities also, that ultimately become the co-curricular activities of any school. So master instructor may be appointed by the teacher Department of Education as per the local needs. And master instructor will be from locality, nearby locality, and it will be on contextual basis, but they will provide and they will help the students to learn more about the dance, music, and culture and art. Along with this, these all recommendations are full with value orientation also, because India is familiar for its culture, civilization, and values. So the student must know how to respect the elders, how to behave with the others, how to interact with the teachers, how to interact with the peer group, and how to interact with the society. So time to time, there would be a certain kind of programs that will be organized by the Department of Education in the society also, so that the society can come in contact of the schools or come in contact of Department of Education. Because you must have that school represents or reflects the philosophy of society. So this all kind of integration with the school and the society is also very essential. Considering all these, I have prepared a model for teacher education program. I am presenting here, say for example, principle of partnership. Partnership is with the society, PPT model, that is public-private participation. So public-private participation means if society wants to give any kind of demand to the schools or the Department of Education, it should be given priority by the education institution. Say, for example, if there is demand to know more about the environment, so the subject like environmental education. If there is more demand of ICT, the subject like information and communication technology. So in that form, whatever the needed in the locality, because one society differs from another. So this kind of teaching learning process will go on in connection with the society. Principle of integration means those subjects that are, those departments that are working alone, they should be integrated with the Department of Education in order to know more about the subject matter. Because those who are working there, those who are teaching their subject, they are expert of that particular subject. They will be invited by the Department of Education for the prospective teachers to teach them. So this is a principle of integration that says that connect Department of Education with other departments also. Principle of variety, not only the theoretical knowledge is sufficient for the teacher, but a kind of learning that gives pleasure, that gives enjoy, and certain kind of different learning experiences to the prospective teachers that should be given to them, so that they implement these all experiences in their schools where they will be regular teachers. Principle of conducive environment, this is also a recommendation of this NEP 2020, that not a autocratic kind of environment that impose something and they will have to do. No, there every kind of democracy is there. Teacher has rights, teacher educator has right to ask the question. Similarly, in the same way, the teacher trainees have the right to ask the question to the teacher educators. What kind of modification is needed, they will have to modify it. And with the two-way process, like a two-way process, it will be move on in a conducive environment. Principle of social values, already told you that what kind of values are required just to pay the respect to elders and to interact with the others, how to celebrate the national festivals, how to celebrate the social festivals, what are our rituals, what are our customs, and unity in diversity. This is also one of the recommendation of NEP 2020. We all are one and we have to move in a collective way, not separately, so that we can march and we can strengthen our nation. Now, see this. Bringing efficacy and high quality to teacher education system, rigorous monitoring and review of cleanup of the teacher education system. The system that is going on as per the recommendation of NEP 2020, it needs evaluation time to time. An evaluation will be done by the Rashtriya Shiksha Ayog in collaboration with national higher education authorities. So after 6 months and after 1 year, when we are going to check it, we certainly will find certain kind of difficulties, certain kind of challenges. So these all will be improved upon, or these all will be rectified in order to make the system more transparent. Connection between higher education institution and school complexes, as there is a one word, school complexes. It means that few schools will be connected with the teacher education, education. These all schools combinedly will known as a school complexes. These school complex will provide a kind of teaching learning platform to the teacher trainees. They will be going there, they will be teaching to the students, they will be looking after all kind of activities and other administrative internship, academic internship, like what kind of registers are required here to prepare for the students' attendance, what is a kind of fee structure, how to prepare the fee register, and how to manage the students when they are not in the classroom, when outside the classroom, and a kind of this sports, games. So all activities that are going in the school, it will be observed by the students in the form of administrative internship. And on the other side, academic internship, when they are inside the classroom, how to deal the students, how to impart the subject. These all should be given by the training of these all particular aspects will be given to the teacher trainees. Sorry. Teacher education, the one who is be a teacher educator, he should be a expert of theory and practical. Admission to pre-service teacher preparation program, creation of substantial new teacher preparation capacity. The students, those who want to become a teacher, they will be given a chance to flourish in that way that they could implement the subject as well as the strategy of this teaching learning, how to impart this subject in the school. Conversion of independent teacher education institution to multidisciplinary institution, I already told you. Capacity planning for teacher education, faculty in teacher education, This is also says about the ICT infrastructure, that the kind of ICT infrastructure, smart classrooms, is all be the part of the school complex where the teacher can understand how the content will be delivered through ICT devices. And research-based preparation, online education, there is also a provision for online education, that is one who is far away from the institution can get the learning, and we can connect with the other universities also what kind of teacher preparation is going on there, and in exchanging the views. These all are the recommendation of NEP 2020. Research-based teacher preparation, it means action researches that are required for a particular locality be conducted. Interdepartmental collaboration for a specific subject means the things that one department linked with the Department of Education, similarly others be linked and not in a separate form, but these all in one will work for the Department of Education. Post-graduation and doctoral program, those who want to pursue their further studies, they have the opportunity for PG and the doctoral program also. The structure of teacher education program, that is 4-year integrated B.Ed, 2-year B.Ed, and 1 year. These three means that those who want to come after 12th, they will do 4 years. Those who want to enter in the Department of Education after 2 years, after graduation, they have 2 years. Those who want to enter after PG, they have 1 year teacher education program. This is a model of teacher education program that on need standards need, that is need of the day of particularly focusing on the society and where the Department of Education is working. So need of the society and need of the nation, these are interlinked. We have to prepare the curriculum of the teacher education program. Standards, quality education. Here they focus on the quality education. That's why they are integrating the all departments, because separate departments or separate teacher education institutions are not providing the good or quality education, but they will interlink, the standards will be improved, and it will suppose that we will be able to provide the quality teacher training program to our prospective teachers. Context in the form of goals, incentives, general assumptions about the learning, images of future, interface, that what they have to do in coming days and how they will get the place in the placement in the schools and what is their job prospects. So considering these all, we have to prepare the teacher education program. Training activities in teacher education program, courses, conferences, experiences, media models, matter, these all be included in the curriculum. And the product that we are going to produce through the Department of Education, teacher competencies, that is skills related, that is required to become a teacher. Pupil competencies, that the students, those who are working under the supervision of prospective teachers, they should also have the skills. They would be able to write, they will be able to read, and they will be able to do something with own capacity. So there will be a positive change in the environment. These all are the main recommendation, that is need standards, context, processes, and product of this NEP 2020. And combining these all would be able to frame a qualitative teacher education program for prospective teachers. So these all from my side. Once again, thank you very much to all of you calling me, inviting me, and listening me patiently. Thank you very much. Nandini ji?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think that was a very elaborative presentation on new education policy. I hope it would have thrown great light and given clarity to our listeners and participants. I would request the participants to type any questions if they have. Ma'am, we have received one question. How so far, how much national education policy is implemented as we are moving to the year 2023?
So, good question. That NCT, that is the regulatory body of teacher education program, National Council for Teacher Education, it is going to implement ITEP. ITEP, Integrated Teacher Education Program. So 50 universities have been given this responsibility to implement this teacher education program, 4-year integrated course, just to find out the feedback or just to find out the kind of structure that whether it will be successful or not. So the project, the kind of project that have been implemented by the NCT. So it is expected that from 2023, it would be implemented in 50 universities only. So this is an action project by the NCT.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we don't have any more queries. If our participants have any other questions, they can type it in the chat box and then they can be addressed later. So with this, we conclude this lecture.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, on behalf of the entire team. We move forward to our third lecture. The resource person for the lecture is Dr. Archana Shukla, Head, Department of Psychology, University of Lucknow. She will be delivering a lecture on the topic, Gender Sensitivity, Understanding the Socio-Cultural Constructs of Gender for a Developed India. I would extend my warm welcome to Dr. Archana Shukla, who is the Head, Department of Psychology, Coordinator, Institute of Women's Study, University of Lucknow, and Coordinator of Institute of Women's Studies, Program Coordinator of Psychological Support and Counseling. With 20 years of experience in academics and research, she is also a member of Ethical Committee of Vivekanand Hospital, Lucknow. She has to her credit more than 55 research papers in national and international journals on female sex workers, transgenders, and MSM population. Dr. Shukla has published 15 chapters in books with national and international publishers and 8 in press. She has delivered more than 50 lectures on different topics like gender sensitization, psychosocial rehabilitation, adolescent issues, sexual harassment, to name a few. With an extensive experience in research, she has 8 PhDs awarded under her supervision. Her basic idea of research is to attain knowledge, reach out to the masses, raise awareness among people at large towards gender sensitization, mental health issues, and bring marginalized community in mainstream. She further believes in doing path-breaking researches on deviant population with special focus on LGBT population. With such an extensive experience and a history of work in the area of gender sensitization, I would extend my warm welcome to Dr. Archana Shukla.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much, first of all, for this warm welcome. And I think being an academician and being a researcher, it becomes, the responsibility becomes many-folded. And the topic that has been given to me, firstly, I want to thank Sajid, Dr. Sajid, for giving me this opportunity. I want to reach out to the students who have joined in this on this platform, not in terms of any lecture or any, giving them, what is gender, and I want to refrain from all these things. I have a very subtle way of telling things, and I believe that should be there. Because my parent department is psychology, so presently I'm a faculty in Department of Psychology. Psychology says that whenever you want to bring a change, in anywhere, in the society, in the masses, in your nation, in universe, anywhere. The change should begin from yourself. So being a psychology student, I always had this idea, and very strongly I advocate this idea of mine, that the change should bring from oneself. Can ma'am just let me know, is it totally English or can we be bilingual?
Ma'am, it can be bilingual.
Okay. So the basic idea, like people say na, samaj badlega, dunya badlegi, nayi generation badlegi. So I reframe and I personally feel that this should not be the idea. Change tabhi aayega, ya the change would only come when you yourself as a person would bring about change. अपने में ही change कर ले, इतना ही पर्याप्त है, इतना ही काफी है. और मुझे लगता है जब ये एस्पेक्ट होगा तो ऑटोमेटिकली चेंज जरूर आएगा. तो छोटा सा एक पीपीटी जिससे मैं अपनी बात आप तक और अच्छे से पहुंचा पाऊं. कैन वी हैव दिस फुल स्क्रीन? ओके. तो बेसिकली जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन, एज यू ऑल नो, जो दिख भी रहा है, whenever we talk about this topic, people have this वो आंदोलन टाइप का ना, महिलाओं को हक मिलना चाहिए and they should be equivalent to male and all these things. Okay, that may be an angle of pursuing and seeing things, but I personally feel no, because when you talk of gender stereotyping, see, my lecture may not fit into your frame of gender issues till now. So before my lecture, I want to tell this, that maybe my session would not be a good cup of tea for you. But anyways, as I personally shared that I want to instill this idea in the youngsters, so I would definitely like to convey what I feel. तो बात वापस चले कि when you talk about gender, people have this idea that महिलाओं को बराबर का हक मिलना चाहिए, महिला बराबर होनी चाहिए, and etc. etc. I view this issue from a very different perspective. Leave about the equality, but what about the gender stereotyping which has been prevalent in the society from the past? And you and me, despite being so much literate, working on so many turbulent issues across the nation or maybe internationally, still there are some gender stereotypes which we all are holding. Yes. Now you would say, no, we are very educated and we don't feel that we have any gender stereotypes. But my session would be just a reflection of this. So before I start, let me first share with you the concept of gender. Next slide, please. Hopefully this must be known to everyone, but still I would like to clarify that male and female are the categories, or you can say the genital parts visible at the time of birth ascribe you that you are a male or a female. Okay. On the other hand, masculinity and femininity, that is the gender stereotyping, is assigned to you by the society. In whichever society you are surviving, there are a prescribed set of norms for males and females, be it anywhere you take. मतलब कहीं से शुरू करिए, कहीं खत्म करिए. आप फेयरनेस की क्रीम से शुरू करिए, कपड़ों से शुरू करिए, ब्रांडिंग से शुरू करिए, मतलब बस आप नाम लीजिए. There are very, very distinct discrimination between these are feminine items, these are feminine choices, these are feminine options, even sports, even education, even subject, choice of subject. You may say कि मैम अब आप पुरानी बात बता रही हैं, अब ऐसा नहीं होता है. लेकिन मैं आपसे कहना चाहूंगी, क्योंकि हम रोज कम से कम 50-100 बच्चों से रोज डील करते हैं. Presently we are going through the counseling process of admission in university in our department, and I can hear and sense from the parents saying, अरे नहीं यही सब्जेक्ट दिला देती, ये तो वो ये सब्जेक्ट नहीं सही है. कहने का मतलब है you can sense that gender stereotyping, maybe due to education it has been scrubbed in a way that अब लोग खुल के नहीं बोलते हैं. तो वापस चलें जहां थे कि मेल फीमेल वो है जो बायोलॉजिकली असाइन होता है, whereas masculinity and femininity are socially ascribed norms given to an individual. Okay, next slide. Now if you go back to the traces of gender, then I would like to share when the origin of humanity began and men and women used to live in caves. ठीक है, तो there was a mutual understanding कि भाई हम जा रहे हैं शिकार पे, ठीक है, हंट करके लाएंगे और जो आएगा वो कुक होगा, जो घर में बच्चे हैं या जो और फैमिली मेंबर्स हैं उनकी तुम देखभाल कर लेना. तो बस 2 लोग हैं तो इस तरीके से घर को के काम को बांट लिया गया। रिमेम्बर, इट वाज अ म्यूचुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग। घर का काम हमने बांट लिया, इसमें कोई विवाद नहीं था और कोई ये नहीं था कि नहीं ये तो तुम्हें को करना है, ये तुम्हें को करना है। नो, इट वाज अ म्यूचुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग। नाउ after 1,000 years have passed, 1,000 or crores even years have passed from that time, the society or the globe has gone through a lot of transition. Roles, working criteria, hours of working, so many things are changed. Now at this point of time, it becomes very, very important to understand आज के समाज में husband wife या partners के बीच में क्या mutual understanding है towards domestic working, towards working outside. But a fraction or you can say a small percentage is still there in our minds, और हम अभी भी उस पुरानी चीज को लेकर के कहीं चलते हैं कि घर का काम माने महिलाएं और बाहर का काम माने पुरुष। ऐसा नहीं कि इसमें केवल एक ही का नुकसान हुआ। मैं आज ही अभी सुबह किसी से बात कर रही थी, तो there we were discussing gender stereotyping and I shared with that person, he was a bureaucrat. He said, in fact I said कि इनकम टैक्स महिलाएं क्यों नहीं अपना पे करती हैं, they always have this कि कागज ले जाके हस्बैंड को दे दिया, भाई देखो इसमें क्या होना है। तो ऐसा नहीं है कि एक ही का नुकसान हुआ है, दोनों वर्ग का इक्वली नुकसान हुआ है, because we are not ready to switch over to that. ओके, तो बेसिकली ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट था वो उस जमाने से आया है where masculinity and femininity were ascribed in terms of the role, the need and the mutual understanding between male and female. Next. Again, somewhat similar picture that the sex was biologically determined, whereas the gender was ascribed by the society. It was nothing rigid which could not change. Many concepts have changed in 1,000 years, but still, as I am saying from the beginning, much changes has taken place, but again, much change is still needed. Next. This also reflects the same thing which we were talking. Next. Next slide, please. Okay. पीछे चलिए जरा, वापस reverse में. Okay. Now I have some slides for all of you, and any of you can unmute yourself and just tell me the slides which I am going to show. It will be a rapid fire. आप तुरंत मुझे सोच के बताइए कि उसमें क्या हो रहा है, ठीक है, बिना दिमाग लगाए, जो एक spontaneous जवाब आता है. Okay, next slide. बताइए इसमें कौन लड़का है कौन लड़की है? Who is a male, who is a female? Quick.
Pink is female and blue is male.
कहाँ लिखा है? बताएं.
Yes, ma'am, you are right. It is not written here, but as you are talking about,
if टोपी बदल दें तो नीला वाला लड़की हो जाएगा और गुलाबी वाला लड़की हो जाएगा.
Yes, exactly, you are right.
You not exactly you. The society has divided colors also, and sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
we still promote this. This is my total agenda, or this is my total, क्या कहते हैं, the idea which I want to share to youngsters and the students who are present here. हम नीले रंग से लड़कियों को, लड़कियां नीले रंग के कपड़े नहीं पहनती हैं क्या? बहुत खूबसूरत लगती है, और मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ on a humorous way.
But madam, it is not everyone, madam. Only some of them.
But majority, yes. तो मैं majority की तो बात कर रही हूँ. Psychology talks about generalization also.
Yes, ma'am. Majority of people. Yes.
आप लीग से हट के सोच पा रहे हैं तो ये तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, और आप congratulations, आप बधाई के पात्र हैं. लेकिन आज भी अगर मैं टोटल पॉपुलेशन को क्या कहते हैं क्लासिफाई करूं, तो मुझे लगता है 80 to 90% लोगों में यही है कि गुलाबी रंग माने लड़कियां और नीला रंग माने लड़की. इसलिए क्योंकि हम उसको क्वेश्चन नहीं करते हैं ना. चलिए नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. मुझे आज शाम को एक पार्टी में जाना है, तो मैंने शॉपकीपर से बोला कि उसने पूछा कौन बच्चा है जिसको देना है, तो मैंने बताया कि 7 साल की लड़की है. तो देखिए उसने बगल वाला जो गिफ्ट है वो मुझे निकाल करके दे दिया. अगर उस लड़की को मैं इधर वाला गिफ्ट दे दूं तो कोई गड़बड़ी है? बताइएगा, जल्दी बताइए. अगर लड़की को ये जो डॉग टाइप का कोई गिफ्ट है ये दे दिया जाए तो कोई नुकसान है? आप लोग जवाब नहीं दे रहे हैं. एनीवन?
नुकसान नहीं है, दे सकते हैं.
नो मैम दे सकते हैं.
लेकिन फिर देते क्यों नहीं?
नहीं दे रहे हैं ना, कुछ लोग नहीं दे रहे हैं, कई लोग देता है.
again the same story, that of
Ma'am.
course some people have started thinking out of the box, but the need of the hour is that majority people should think out of the box. We are carrying those stereotypes from our from generations and past वो, और उसको हम change करने में interested भी नहीं रहते हैं. बारबी माने गर्ल एंड सुपरमैन, स्पाइडरमैन, जितने भी सारे मैचो या क्या कहते हैं मैस्कुलिनिटी वाले जो वो होते हैं, वो दैट इज मेंट फॉर मेल.
Ma'am, sorry.
हाँ.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. I want to give one more example, and it is a very very famous Kinder Joy. If all you have tasted, your kids have been tasted. There are games in Kinder Joy, and shopkeeper asks which one you want, male or female, girl or boy. So majority of people do this. I agree with you.
Very fine, very fine. Okay, next slide please. तकलीफ होती है इस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन से, पर तकलीफ तब होगी when you become sensitive towards it. If you're carrying over that routine mindset for years and years, and you say कि तो उसमें क्या बुराई है. Okay, next slide. Now, if again a rapid fire, I'll be showing you some flashcards. Let's see what you say. Next. किसका हाथ है ये? जल्दी से बताइए. अरे जल्दी बताइए. अब आज के लेक्चर को ध्यान में रख के आप बोलेंगे मैम ये तो फीमेल का हाथ है, शायद नेल्स वेल्स बड़े हैं इसलिए आप कह देंगे. लेकिन आज भी इंडिया में, मैं बाहर की कंट्रीज की बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, आज भी इन इंडिया majority people have this understanding that when it comes to cooking at your home, it is a female, and if males are in this job, they go in for the chef and the hotel and the restaurant where they are highly paid. Mind you, underline this line, highly paid. We assign females for cooking because no payment is given at home. It is just those words which you use, माँ का प्यार है, माँ का लगाव है, माँ के हाथ का this and that, all these things. But mind you, इस profession में भी change आया है. Males have started going into this, but only then when it is highly paid. Of course, again, जो सर अभी बोल रहे थे, कुछ लोगों ने चेंज किया है. I know some male personally जो कि घर में कुकिंग करते हैं क्योंकि कुकिंग उनकी हॉबी है, उनको अच्छा लगता है. लेकिन आज भी जो मेजॉरिटी इंडियंस है, उनका माइंडसेट अब थोड़ा और चेंज हो गया है विद फाइनेंशियल अपग्रेडेशन, कि अब हमने काम वाली बाई रख दी है, वो खाना बनाती है. कितने लोग मेल कुक को हायर करते जरूर है, लेकिन बहुत कम फ्रैक्शन. ओके, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. अगेन ड्राइविंग. यहाँ पे मैं कहना चाहूंगी majority of you will say नहीं मैम, driving is done equally by males and females. Okay, fine. Now when it comes to risky driving, highway driving in odd hours, कार में कोई प्रॉब्लम अगर हो जाए और बोनट खोल के चेक करना हो, where are females in this? Call my husband, call my brother, or call the person from the garage. I don't know. मैंने तो किनारे खड़ी कर दी, पता नहीं कार में क्या प्रॉब्लम. कहाँ गई जेंडर स्टीरियोटाइपिंग? If you are driving equally like a male, so just like a male should be familiar with all the aspects related to driving and the hardware and everything, equally should be there for females. पर क्यों नहीं होता है? Next slide. अब ये लड़का कौन है? मैं सॉरी, मैंने तो जवाब ही बोल दिया, सॉरी. ये जो बच्चा है ये कौन है? अगर मैं पूछूंगी तो आप लोग में से ज्यादातर लोग कहते हैं ये लड़का है, क्योंकि we again have this mindset, boys especially at this age, the golu polu types, good weighted, smart, and having this, whereas girls will be more slim, bow on your head, and wearing something ऊपर नीचे सब पहना होगा उस तरह करके. Next. Now, this slide of mine, I would like to draw your attention. You must have seen this site. This is a construction site. I suppose everybody in this platform must have seen this. Now, when it comes to understand this, when it comes to working, lifting of bricks on head is a job which is full of energy and demands too much of energy. When it comes to energy, males are more forward. Of course, as nature has also said, and you'll find researches that in terms of strength, that too, if training is done, okay, I don't want to go in that debate. But when it comes to strength, males are more said to be higher on in energy level in comparison to females. At this site, you see, when it comes to loading of bricks, it is the females which are paid less, and the work of mason, मिस्त्री, अगर आप में से लोग हिंदी समझते हो, मिस्त्री वाला जो काम होता है, कारीगर वाला, वो highly paid होता है, उसको ज्यादा पैसे मिलते हैं. When it comes to this work, it is males there. Why this discrimination? Why this discrimination? वैसे वर्षा में नहीं है. मैंने तो फिलहाल हो सकता हो तो मैंने महिला मिस्त्री आज तक देखी नहीं है. घर में अड़ोस पड़ोस बहुत जगह कंस्ट्रक्शन होता है, पता नहीं, मे बी आई एम अनफॉर्चुनेट, आई हैव नेवर सीन अ फीमेल मेसन. जबकि यू ऑल नो फीमेल में मतलब मेसन वर्क इज हाईली पेड. अगर मैं गलत नहीं कर रही तो शायद 1000-1500 रुपए पर डे की पेमेंट होता है. तो अगेन अ क्वेश्चन मार्क. व्हाई दिस डिस्क्रिमिनेशन? जब जहां चाहा वहां चीजों को पलट दिया. जब ताकत की बात आई तो मेल आगे हो गए, पर जब पेमेंट की बात आई तो इट इज वाइस वर्सा. एंड वी आर डूइंग दिस. आई जस्ट वांट टू टेल यू दिस. हम इन चीजों को प्रमोट कर रहे हैं क्योंकि हम अपने माइंडसेट से उसी माइंडसेट से चल रहे हैं. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. Of course, and these tears are not of females, by the way. It is something which gives pain to both the genders. Next. किसके gloves हैं? You will say, of course, now with Mary Com and so many people are there. You will say, of course, female के हो सकते हैं. पर अभी भी बहुत सारी जगहों पे this is considered as a male sport. Why? Because it demands high level of energy, high level of क्या कहते हैं. I recently met a bureaucrat and she said, my daughter is interested in this long tennis, but I don't want her to join that. So I said, why? कहती मैडम वो नसें खिंच जाती है ना हाथ की, तो बताइए वो कैसे मर्दाना हाथ लगते हैं. How can you imagine we going in for wedding and all that, telling that बिल्कुल मर्दाना लड़की है. And she was such a qualified lady. तो कहीं ना कहीं अनकॉन्शियस माइंड में स्पोर्ट्स में भी आपने कर रहे हैं बच्चे और पेरेंट्स प्रमोट भी कर रहे हैं, लेकिन कहीं एट द बैक ऑफ माइंड सम डिस्क्रिमिनेशन स्टिल लाइज. एंड आई एम अगेन सेइंग, मे बी यू डोंट हैव, then you are a fortunate person, but come to the grassroots reality, come to the India in slums, come to the India in क्या कहते हैं rural India, and then you will come to know the actual picture. It is not just we all studying in good educational institutes where we see everything is all कितना बढ़िया है, सब कुछ बहुत बैलेंस में है, females are doing best, and in fact some people will say they are doing better than males. Definitely I would not agree, they are doing, but when it comes to grassroots reality, the picture is not so very sweet. Okay, next slide please. See the covers of laptops, even in mobiles also. If you ask the shopkeeper, media and customer the वो है तो बहुत आराम से इस चीज को इनकैश करते हैं. Girls have a typical, see, Barbie doll is there, pink, and this is there. Where when it comes to blue, see, मेल का जो लैपटॉप है उसमें सुपरमैन और उसको वो लगा होगा. ठीक है, तो देखिए ये अंतर, और हम फिर ऐसी चीजें ले भी रहे हैं. जस्ट अ मिनट. ओके, व्हेन इट कम्स टू दीज थिंग्स, हम लोग भी जाके खरीदते हैं, और कई बार मैंने देखा लड़के कहते हैं अरे ये लड़कियों वाला है, कुछ लड़कों वाला दिखाओ. अगेन, तो नीड हाई टाइम टू look inside and understand. कहीं कुछ परसेंटेज जेंडर स्टीरियोटाइपिंग हमारे और आपके अंदर भी तो नहीं है. नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. कौन करता है? Who does all these gender stereotyping? If you start from the very beginning, of course it is the family. फैमिली के बाद मैं यूँ कहना चाहूंगी, I have a very one of my favorite area, one of my favorite topic in any session is parenting. And when you talk about things in family, अक्सर हिंदुस्तानी, एक मध्यम वर्गीय हिंदुस्तानी परिवार में क्या दिखेगा? माँ रोटी बना रही है, बेटी जो है, अगर 4 लोग हैं, ठीक है, बेटी जो है वो डाइनिंग टेबल पे सर्व कर रही है, बाप और बेटे बैठ के खाना खा रहे हैं. ये मैंने फिर वही बात, जनरल बात कर ली. कहीं ना कहीं फैमिलीज में ये चीजें अभी भी देखने को मिलती है. प्लेट सबकी रखी गई है तो बेटी से या कहा जाता है कि अरे जल्दी से उठा के किचन में रख दो. ऐसा नहीं कि बेटे से काम नहीं कहा जाता, उसको कुछ और काम बता दिया गया बाहर का, लेकिन ये जो डोमेस्टिक कोर्स के वाले स्पेसिफिकली रिलेटेड टू किचन अब वो है, वो अक्सर अनकॉन्शियसली हम लोग जो फीमेल्स हैं उन्हीं से ज्यादा मुखातिब होते हैं. और जब हम फैमिली से बाहर निकलते कम टू स्कूल, वहां भी कुछ कुछ चीजें देखने को मिलती है. I have not been very fortunate because I have studied in a girls' school, but if any of you or majority of you would have studied in co-ed school, you can understand the difference. टीचर बहुत सारी इतनी सारी बुक्स लेकर के चढ़ रही है, कॉपीज, ठीक है, दो बच्चे निकल रहे हैं स्टेयरकेस पे, वो तुरंत एक बॉय को बुलाएगी, अरे बेटा जरा ऊपर पहुंचा दो. लड़की के लिए एक बार सोचेगी. Why? Again this unconscious mind, you have this mindset कि कुछ चीजें ऐसी हैं जो हमने ऐसे ही सोच रखी है. यहाँ चर्च लिखा है, मैं चर्च को रिप्लेस करना चाहूंगी इन टर्म्स ऑफ रिलीजन. आई डोंट वांट टू गो इनटू दिस डिबेट, बट हम सबको पता है अलग अलग रिलीजन में, एनी रिलीजन यू टॉक अबाउट, कुछ कुछ ऐसे नॉर्म्स, कुछ कुछ ऐसे वो बनाए गए हैं जो कि दे आर डिफरेंट फॉर मेल्स एंड दे आर डिफरेंट फॉर फीमेल्स. Then of course the most favorite and the most burning issue in India and I think across the globe is media. Fair and Lovely का नाम अभी क्यों बदला? Fair and Lovely is so old, पहले क्यों नहीं बदला? क्योंकि अब लोग जानकार हो गए हैं. They've started realizing Fair and Lovely. It is not mandatory for every woman to be of very fair complexion. I take mental health. I teach mental health paper in Lucknow University in my department. And I have this habit of sharing and talking to students in the last 5 minutes or before my class. So once we were discussing this fairness issue, so majority were girls, I think 1 or 2 were boys, all were girls. So I asked them, maybe in the coming 15 to 20 years, if you are fortunate and you get an opportunity to have an arranged marriage of your son, how many would like to take a wheatish or a dark complexioned girl as your daughter-in-law? And you'll be surprised, no hand was raised. Why? Because still we are there. लड़की माने गोरी खूबसूरत, और लड़के का तो अरे ठीक है ना, रंग वंग कुछ दबाए, कुछ खास नहीं, क्योंकि it is the earning capacity of the male. Of course we can go into long debates on this topic कि हम क्यों ये चीजें प्रमोट कर रहे हैं, क्यों हम मैं बस यहाँ इस प्लेटफॉर्म से ये कहना चाह रही हूँ कि सोचने में फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी लाने की आवश्यकता है. This is the need of the hour, that we do not stick to that. Of course, if there's an opportunity, then fair complexion is very good. But if there is an opportunity of, having a relationship with a wheatish or a dark complexioned female, I think there is no harm. It is ultimately the intelligence. बड़ी बड़ी बातें लोग करते हैं ना, एजिंग सबके संग होती है, बड़े बड़े राजा महाराजा भी एजिंग को नहीं रोक पाते हैं, सही बात है. फिर why sticking on so much to complexion and वो देखिए मूवी आ रही है XXL. I was seeing it last night on this Kapil Sharma show, and they are breaking the stereotype of body shaming. So many things to be thought about and to be दिमाग में इसको समझने की आवश्यकता है कि दूसरों को भी आप blaming, this is happening, ऐसा तो नहीं. Unconscious mind में we are also promoting that. This idea needs to be more revised and more thought about. And lastly, the state or the government policies. Again, not going into any further debate on this topic, but yes, there are some policies which are beneficiary only for females and which are beneficiary, rare कम policies ऐसी हैं which are beneficiary for male. अब डाउरी एक्ट पर बात कर लीजिए, ऐसा नहीं कि ये सब हो नहीं रहा है, लेकिन आप भी जानते हैं कि कुछ पॉपुलेशन में ऐसे भी है जहाँ लोगों ने इसका फायदा भी उठाया. So one needs to understand this transition period of the society, what exactly is happening, what is my role. Forget about the family, forget about the community in which you hail. What is your role and how you can. अक्सर काउंसलिंग में लोग कहते हैं क्या करें बदलने के लिए. अरे भाई कुछ ना करिए, किसी को ना बदलिए. Psychology says you cannot change anybody in this world. You can only change yourself. बस अपने ऊपर काम कर लीजिए. And I always tell in my class to my students, जो खुद को जानता है, जो खुद की कमियां और खुद की अच्छाइयों को जानता है, यकीन मानिए वो दुनिया में सबसे खतरनाक व्यक्ति है. Why? Because he or she gives no person this kamjorness of yours who anybody can use and manipulate. No, I know my strength, I know my weakness. I know I'm a strong-headed person. I know I'm a short-tempered person. If I know, then I act accordingly. Okay, so not jumping from this topic to psychology. Next slide, please. Again, gender stereotyping does not, NOT capital mein, ki you are saying ki who is equivalent. Please, we are not talking of any equality, and this should be very much, moved away from your mind. इक्वालिटी की बात नहीं कर रहे हैं, जो जिसका पोटेंशियल है, जो जिसकी काबिलियत है, उसको अपने योग्य काम करने को दिया जाए, यही जेंडर सेंसिटाइजेशन। इफ आई एम गुड एट समथिंग, let me do because I love that work, not because I'm a female then you say this work is not meant for you. So basically gender sensitization talks about this. Let the person, anyone, do what he or she feels happy, has good potential, rather than fixing that person that you are a male therefore you have to go into engineering or maybe kya kehte hain NEET ya medical line would be the best. And if you talk about humanities, if you talk about studying literature, okay, many people still tell to me this is our feminine subjects. The Three Idiots we saw past, I think many years have passed. Still the idea they said, if you remember the movie, उसमें भी इस बात को इन्होंने किया। और ये जानिए मूवीज भी रिफ्लेक्ट करती हैं जो समाज में हो रहा होता है। चलिए आगे चले, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड। मेरे पास इसका एक वीडियो था, मैं इस समय तो नहीं दिखा पाऊंगी, आप कहीं अगर यू कैन नोट इट डाउन, माधुरी दीक्षित वीडियो ऑन बॉयज डोंट क्राई, एंड वेरी वेरी humble and a subtle way of expressing that boys don't cry, and in the end there's a small line saying लड़के रोते नहीं है तो लड़के रुलाते भी नहीं है। वो डोमेस्टिक वायलेंस से रिलेटेड था, but you as we all as parents you know frame or you know upbring our sons in the sense कि boys are strong, boys are masculine, boys don't cry, boys don't have any problem। घर का मुखिया होता है, वो कभी परेशान नहीं होता है, सबकी परेशानियां अपने ऊपर लेता है। So these many things which are catered and in our upbringing, and we unconsciously imbibe those in our future life. Next. Change has come again, as I was telling from the beginning. The grandmother previously used to say that boy should be there. Now she is not saying, but again she is still imagining कि ऐसा होना चाहिए। तो इतना तो change आया है, and I think it is very beneficial for the society. But still, it needs to be more done. That the grandmother needs to accept the just a minute. Okay, sorry for that. The grandmother still needs to accept and verbalize these concepts that no, whatever gender is there, it is equally welcome, and a healthy child is more needed than a child of a specific gender. Next. When you talk about gender stereotyping, we often forget. Next. As I was discussing earlier also, one of the finest books you find internationally and nationally, there are some males who have, you know, अपने आप को उन्होंने साबित किया है। इनकी parenting कैसे हुई होगी? When they would have, you know, joined this profession or this area of working, इनके parents ने भी तो कुछ इन्हें कहा होगा, पर निश्चित कुछ ऐसा कहा होगा या इतना पॉजिटिव वो रहे होंगे जिसकी वजह से ये अपना एक मकाम बना पाए। नेक्स्ट। कार रेसिंग इज अ वेरी रिस्की स्पोर्ट, यू मस्ट बी नोइंग। वो बड़ा हाई स्पीड पे जाती है, एट टाइम्स अगर बुरा एक्सीडेंट हो जाए तो इट इज यू नो अपसाइड डाउन और फायर, और बहुत सारे उसमें रिस्क होते हैं, बट स्टिल दे आर फीमेल्स हु हैव shown their capability and they have proved that they are one of the finest car racers of the world. अब इनकी पेरेंटिंग कैसे होगी? इनके पेरेंट्स ने भी इनको स्टीरियोटाइपिंग में बांधा होगा कि नहीं नहीं ये वाला स्पोर्ट तो बहुत मैस्कुलिन है, इसमें जान का खतरा है, कुछ तो किया होगा। We need to think about it. Next. You'll be surprised to know in US you must be knowing that there is a pattern of you know earning extra, like doing something simultaneously for pocket money or any other financial assistance. Many of the male members have landed into the profession of babysitting. आप अपने बच्चे के लिए अगर आया ढूंढेंगे तो आप में से कितने लोग एक मेल मेंबर को ढूंढना पसंद करेंगे? शायद नहीं। Again, food for thought, क्योंकि वो माँ, ममता, care, warmth, it is all been upgraded and instilled with women, as if male don't have those feelings. बता दिया गया वो ऐसा होता ही नहीं है, जबकि ऐसा नहीं है। Okay, next. Again, सबसे शुरू में हमने बात करी थी, और अब देखिए कई ऐसी कंट्रीज हैं जहाँ पे इन्होंने पलटा है। They've started hiring male masons. and they say we see the potential. It is not of payment, it is not of gender. जिसमें काबिलियत है, जो अच्छा मेसन है, अगर वो फीमेल है तो फीमेल आएगी, मेल है तो मेल है. ये एक अच्छी पिक्चर हुई ना, rather than only putting them into watertight compartment. अगर काबिलियत है किसी महिला में, वो अच्छा काम कर सकती है, तो आप उसको आगे बढ़ाइए. ओके, नेक्स्ट. अभी जो पहले स्लाइड पे हम लोग बात कर रहे थे, वो जो हुआ था बॉयज डोंट क्राई, दिस इज एन एक्सटेंशन ऑफ दिस. इफ यू गो इनटू रिसर्चेस, males have been suffering from hypertension, hemorrhage, blood pressure very high in comparison to females. Why? Because of this stereotyping that boys don't cry, boys are never weak. But believe me, those of you who are in the psychology field, tell me of any research which says tear gland बनाया ही क्यों गया. कौन सा ऐसा वो है कि इमोशंस में जेंडर डिफरेंसेस ऑफ कोर्स एक्सप्रेशन में आ सकते हैं, पर वो भी अगर आप पढ़िए रिसर्चेस, दे से दैट इट इज द पेरेंटिंग एंड फ्रॉम वेयर यू हैव बीन अपग्रेडेड इन द सेंस, जो पेरेंटिंग हुई है उस हिसाब से आपके इमोशंस का जो एक्सप्रेशन होता है वो दिखाई देता है या ट्रेनिंग में होता है. यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड दैट what we all need to do and what change is needed to bring about in this society. Okay, next. Again, somewhat a similar picture. Females have proved that no sport, no profession is masculine and feminine. It is just on your potential and your ability. You want, you can touch the sky. It can be a male, it can be female. Okay, next. Now the question arises. As I said previously, gender stereotyping was done, division of labor was done just with mutual consent. काम को सौहार्दीकरण या घर परिवार को अच्छे से चलाने के लिए काम को बांटा गया. घर में 5 काम होते हैं, 3 तुम कर लो, 2 हम कर ले. पर अब जबकि जमाना बहुत बदल गया है, हम आज भी उसी बांटने या उसी डिवीजन में अपने आप को स्टिक करें. ओके, नेक्स्ट. जब सेंसिटाइजेशन की बात आती है तो आई हर्ड सो मेनी पीपल सेइंग कि सेंसिटाइजेशन माने इक्वालिटी. टुडे आई वांट टू क्लियर दिस myth, प्लीज. नो, gender equality, gender sensitization are two very different issues. And thirdly is gender stereotyping. You do not merge all the three, saying कि when you talk of gender sensitization it is gender equality. No, equality माने बराबरी पे आना, और sensitive माने व्यक्ति की योग्यता के अनुसार उसको छूट देना या उसको वो फ्रीडम देना कि वो व्यक्ति एक्सप्लोर कर सकता है या वो व्यक्ति काम कर सकता है. अगर मम्मी का इलेक्ट्रिकल दिमाग और मम्मी घर का फ्यूज बना सकती है तो मम्मी क्यों नहीं बना सकती है. और अगर पिताजी को कुकिंग में इंटरेस्ट है और पिताजी ऑफिस का मतलब खाना बना के ऑफिस जाना चाहते हैं तो उसमें क्या बुराई है. आई विल शेयर यू अ सेशन which I took last month or maybe few months back, in which after COVID exactly. So there was a couple, marital counseling was case tha, so there was a couple and the female said, man, he loves me so much. In COVID time, I used to wash the utensils and he used to wash them beneath the tap. He's so helpful and he's so compassionate. So I said, okay, that's very fine. Then what makes you come here? She said, मैम जब अकेले होते हैं तो सब काम करते हैं, बट व्हेन माय इन-लॉज कम टू स्टे विद अस फॉर 3 months 6 months और मे बी ऑन एन ईयर, तो ये सोफे से उठते भी नहीं. तो आई टॉक टू द हस्बैंड एंड ही इन प्राइवेट एंड ही सेड, मैम क्या करें, माँ बाप के सामने अगर आप किचन में हेल्प करने लगी है तो वो इतना बड़ा उसका क्योस बना देते हैं और बहुत सारा हॉट कॉन्वर्सेशन होती है. Now at this point of time I want to tell, I don't want the son to rebel back to the parents, but at least an initiative can be taken and parents can be told that previously the household chores were of females when females were housewives. Now when I am earning and she is also earning, actually if not exact distribution, but household works can be shared and there is no harm in it. पहले एक जना पैसा कमाता था, एक जना घर का काम देखता था, done, no issues. Now when both are earning, तो फिर why putting all the household work to one person? और अब लोग उसको एक नए तरीके से कहते हैं कि नहीं, हाउसहोल्ड क्या है, हमने तो मेड रख रखी है, हमने तो सब काम सब चीज लोग रख रखे हैं काम करने के लिए, लेकिन आज भी घर में क्या खाना बनेगा मेड भी मम्मी से ही पूछेगी. So these are some some hot realities which one needs to witness. Next. Okay, we will go and again few slides and let's see what we all find from those. Next. See the slide carefully. The professions have also been distributed or divided in such a way that it is great, it was pathetic. Of course, आप कह सकते हैं vocabulary तो हजारों साल पहले बनी थी. Postman, policeman, पुलिस में महिलाएं नहीं जाती हैं. Policeman, नीचे देखिए वॉशर वुमेन, ड्राई क्लीनर और धोबी जो होते हैं वो नहीं होते हैं, मेल नहीं होते हैं, लेकिन आपने काम की इंपॉर्टेंस के हिसाब से उसको बांट रखा है. ऑफ कोर्स अगेन दिस वाज फ्रेम्ड 1000 years जब लिटरेचर और वोकैबुलरी बनी होगी. क्या जरूरत नहीं है उसको चेंज करने की? इज देयर नो नीड टू एनी? नाउ यू कैन से पुलिसमैन, you can say मतलब any term which globalize or takes both the gender into consideration, और अब तो थर्ड जेंडर की भी बात कर रहे हैं. तो रिफ्रेन और क्या हम कर सकते हैं इन चीजों के लिए, ये सोचने की आवश्यकता है. नेक्स्ट, सी थिंक लाइक अ मैन. अरे भाई, थिंक तो बोथ द जेंडर करते हैं, सारे जेंडर करते हैं. इनफैक्ट why think like a man? But these are common proverbs, phrases which are used in English literature and which we all read and with a smile on our face. Why say such a thing? Why believe in such a thing? I always tell in marital counseling that if they say that the children are not being compatible with parents, I always tell the father, respect your wife in front of your children, always. Whenever you have a hot conversation, please go in for a ride, close your bedroom and then fight. Joote maro, chappal maro, kuch bhi karo. But in front of your children, never indulge into any argument. It gives a very, very negative impact on the child. And especially in Indian scenario, which I have seen through my long years of counseling, unfortunately, मैं ये नहीं कहती जानबूझ के करते होंगे, लेकिन unfortunately ये है कि जो पुरुष वर्ग होता है महिलाओं को बड़े आराम, अरे तो बेवकूफ है, इन्हें तो कुछ आता नहीं है, अरे इनको कुछ जानती कहाँ है. Why? अब बच्चे को ये बताना चाह रहे हैं जो कि सबसे पहला उसने जेंडर अपने जीवन में देखा है एक फीमेल का, आप उसको ये बताना चाह रहे हैं कि फीमेल सब बेवकूफ होती है, उसको कुछ नहीं पता है. नहीं, not like that. You need to respect, irrespective of any shortcoming. You need to respect your wife in front of your children. Always remember, in parenting, maybe आप में से कुछ होंगे या शायद आगे बनेंगे, कभी भी एक दूसरे की बात को मत काटिए. आपस में पहले डिस्कस कर लीजिए. बच्चों को पार्टी में जाना है, पहली बात कर लीजिए, भेजना है कि नहीं भेजना है. मम्मी ने कह दिया हाँ, पापा ने कह दिया ना, बच्चे ने केमिस्ट्री समझ ली, नेक्स्ट टाइम आ जाइए. बच्चा वेरी वेल नोज हाउ टू मैनिपुलेट एंड हाउ टू, इट इज नॉट ऑफ एनी स्पेसिफिक पेरेंटिंग, जस्ट लेट मी टेल यू, इट इज अ जनरलाइज्ड कॉन्सेप्ट. थोड़ा सा और सजग बनने की आवश्यकता है, थोड़ा सा चीजों को और सीरियसली लेने की आवश्यकता है. एंड डू अवे विद दिस ब्लेम गेम. ये ऐसा रहा, वो ऐसा रहा. अक्सर आज के सेशन के पहले जब भी मैंने सेशन लिया है यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पे, तो कई लोग हमसे कहते हैं मैम हमारे संग तो बहुत सारा डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हुआ, भाई को ये मिला, मुझे ये नहीं मिला, जो भी उन्होंने बताया. तो मैं हमेशा कहती हूँ, इफ यू हैव बीन अ पार्ट ऑफ डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, देन डेफिनेटली यू शुड नॉट डू एनी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन, because you have felt that pain, कि when it comes to discrimination, how it hurts. One. And number two, if no discrimination has been done to you from your childhood, then automatically you should carry on to that forward. Where's the issue? Always remember, parenting can be filtered and taken to the next generation. There is no logic saying हमारे संग तो ऐसे ही हुआ तो हम भी ऐसे ही करते हैं. नहीं, आपको जो चीजें बुरी लगी हैं, चाहे वो पेरेंटिंग की हो, चाहे अपने हस्बैंड की हो, अपने सास की, किसी भी रिलेशन की हो, उसको वहीं रोकिए, आगे मत जाने दीजिए. और अगर आपके संग नहीं हुई है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, फिर आप उसको वैसे ही पास ऑन कीजिए. तो दिस इज नो ब्लेम गेम सेइंग कि मैम हमारे संग ऐसा हुआ है तो हमारे संग तो ऐसा ही हुआ तो हम भी उसको वैसे ही करें. ओके, नेक्स्ट स्लाइड प्लीज. कितने प्रकार के डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होते हैं. आई थिंक दिस वुड बी समथिंग वेरी थ्योरेटिकल एंड आई डोंट एग्जैक्टली वांट टू गो इन फॉर दिस. बहुत सारे तरीके के डिस्क्रिमिनेशन होते हैं. इन टर्म्स ऑफ, आई वाज अ पार्ट ऑफ एन इंटरनेशनल सेमिनार ऑन इन एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट एंड अ मैम वाज देयर, वेरी सीनियर फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट, नाम मुझे नहीं याद है, और उन्होंने कुछ ग्राफिकल वो बताया था. आई वाज वेरी मच मेस्मराइज्ड एंड शी सेड आज का भी डेटा ये कहता है, मतलब आज माने 2023 22 का था, जनवरी का ये प्रोग्राम था। आज का भी डेटा ये कहता है, इन रूरल इंडिया after 8th or 9th, once the girl comes to know how to read and write her name, education is stopped. And for boys, even if he is not interested, he is admitted into a private school because he has to, have that polishing of the personality, go to big cities and, get a job and earn for it. She said this was the current data of rural India. So don't tell me these discriminations are not there. Female feticide, you all know better. Dowry, synonyms are there, but the concept prevails. Okay, next. What can be the causes? A number of causes are there. But personally, as an academician, as a person who is in the field of academics, I would say definitely education is a big criteria. Education brings about a change, open your vision, and maybe you can see things which people following the gender, following any stereotype are unable to see. You have a flexible mind. इसको ऐसे करके ना ऐसे करके देख सकते हैं. EQ का concept आ गया ना. So no fixed way of seeing things. It can be this way also. If you are a male person and you want to take out your bike from your parking of your residence, you can ask your daughter to do that also. And if there is something cooking in the kitchen, you can ask your son to also just see and help that whatever it is on the gas. But you need to think. Next. इसमें कोई बुराई? I hope no. जाने दीजिए, क्या दिक्कत है? अगर उस बच्ची को इंटरेस्ट है तो, मैं ये नहीं कर रही फोर्सफुली कराइए, उस बच्ची को इंटरेस्ट है तो, और उधर इंटरेस्ट है तो उसमें क्या दिक्कत है? But we as parents, as guardian, as academicians stick to it. Nahi. And we say some abusive language for the boy, or maybe not for the girl, but definitely for the boy. Okay, next. This बहुत से परिवारों में होने लगा है, मेट्रोपॉलिटन सिटीज और बिग सिटीज में ये चीजें होने लगी हैं. बट बिलीव मी, व्हाट इज द हार्म? घर परिवार सही से चल रहा है, घर में खुशहाली है, और उसी पड़ोसी रिश्तेदारों को क्या दिक्कत है? But again, you need to accept that it is not superficial element. लोगों के कहने से आप तनाव में आ रहे हैं, आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. So once you start accepting, then you will see that the people near about you will also start accepting this. Next. और क्या कर सकते हैं? Again, you will have to do it on yourself. Do not procrastinate it to the society, to the religion, to the family members, and to people in your community and your neighbors. You will have to do. Now what you can do, let's see. Next. What's harm in this? No harm. Some of you may say, ma'am, we have been doing that. Okay, good. And do this with a smile. Again, in a marital counseling case, I came to know that this was happening, but the husband was there with so many grudges and बर्तन पटक रहे हैं और बड़बड़ा रहे हैं. Why? खुश होके करिए. Let the female feel that it is something that you are really helping her, not in only life but in every course. And मतलब जैसे कहते हैं ना, हम साथ साथ हैं वाला concept है. तो हम साथ साथ कुछ 2-4 जगह नहीं है, हम सब जगह साथ साथ. See what a what a sparkle it brings in your marital life if you feel that way. Next. This is something important which I always tell females. If there is any issue related to the other female, generally females have this habit of backbiting. या ऐसे ही करती होगी, इसी के संग हुआ, हम लोग के संग नहीं होता है. नहीं. If there is a problem and you are a person who can assess any type of help, please go ahead. This is no time to criticize and to backbite the person. वो ऐसे कपड़े पहनती है इसलिए उसके संग ऐसा हुआ, वो लड़कों से ज्यादा दोस्ती करती है इसलिए ऐसा हुआ. No. Next. This is very common, and I think many Facebook videos and reels have conquered this, that if anything is happening, we typically say, मुझसे क्या मतलब, मेरे संग थोड़ी हो रहा है. नहीं. If you talk about society, if you talk about responsibility, it needs to be taken. Of course, something more positive can be done rather than just standing and putting your shoulders like this कि अपना काम करो यार, हमसे क्या मतलब. Next. This has happened, and filal in big cities it is there that in any organization a proper unions and female representatives, ICC committee is there, internal complaint committee, sexual harassment committee, these are there, and I think it should be promoted. If I have a problem, where do I go? Okay, next. This is all also important, and especially in the corporate world. Not exactly, I'm not labeling any organization or corporate world. I think in every organization it should be hire the person because of the quality and the potential that person has, rather than the physical attire, the physical appearance, and all those rubbish things. So have this genuineness that you respect intelligence, you respect talent, you respect female potential. Let this news spread to wherever you are. जो भी ex person is respecting towards female, very polite, good to talk, and understands problems. Okay, next. Again, there are still some. I when I was preparing the slide, I was under this impression कि अब तो ये कहीं नहीं होता है. There's equal pay, wages for equal both the genders, but I came to know no, there are organizations not only in India but abroad also, and there the wages are less or higher just in terms of the gender. So any such thing which you come across, you need to put your foot down that you do not promote such things. Okay, next. This is again a support system which needs to be developed. I think in every organization, counseling cells have propped up. But again, I said, बहुत कुछ हुआ है और बहुत कुछ करने की जरूरत है. अब किसी की parenting उतनी effective नहीं हुई है. The girl is unable to speak. It may be domestic violence, it may be sexual abuse. So there can be a platform. There can be time to time, conduction of such workshops, a sensitization where females can come to know कि हमको सहन करने की बजाय हम अब किसी के पास जाके कह सकते हैं, क्योंकि घर में कहा जाता है don't say this, you are the only person, अरे ये सब होता रहता है. So you need to build upon that awareness level. बहुत कुछ काम हो रहा है schools में भी, but I think और ज्यादा की आवश्यकता है. Next. Again, some training which I always feel, and I have in a program in Women Planning Commission, I got the opportunity to meet the chairperson, and I there also told her that some training program should be mandatory for in schools. You talk about universities, of course, universities are there, but my personal view is that at the time student reaches university, he or she is quite mature and can handle these issues. What about those adolescent children? 12, 13, 14 साल की उम्र में क्या हो रहा है? What is happening at home? What is happening with the van driver? What is happening with the rickshaw man? How do they tell? How do they come up? So is there any sensitization program like this in schools? I think it should be mandatory. Okay, next. Next year. Yeah. Okay, then. Thank you so much. And hopefully I have not heard sentiments of anyone. What I feel from my heart, I try to convey to all of you, and hope you could carry maybe half a line or 1 or 2 words from this session. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, thank you so much, ma'am. I think it has been a very insightful session for all of us to understand the gender stereotypy that we are facing in today's society. Ma'am, I have a question. Though we have had a very heated up discussion in the chat section, if you would have seen the messages, but I have a question to ask personally. It is said that we all come with a blueprint of all the belief and value system that have been learned by our ancestors, and then it is passed through the womb. And similarly, when we talk about stereotypies and social belief system, the same comes with discrimination based on gender roles. And ma'am, with this context, I would want to ask, when we talk about breaking the gender stereotypes, is it important for us to break all the gender stereotypes?
छोटी सी मशाल जलाइए ना, छोटी सी मोमबत्ती जलाइए, छोटी सी कैंडल जलाइए ना, पूरा वही मैं कह रही हूँ ना, people have this vision कि दुनिया बदल जाएगी, हम समाज बदल देंगे. छोड़ दीजिए. Maybe you are a mother or you are in a family, you have 2 children. or you have immediate sisters or तो बस उतना ही आप कर लीजिए. ये जो pass on होता है automatically, I personally feel that in the coming years we will not be holding sessions like this. So do your part and leave the rest.
When we hope the same happens. And while conducting the session, we all were under the impression that we are a group of highly informed individuals who know that yes, there is a gender discrimination. Yes, because a level of education and exposure helps us understand that there is a discrimination and where we need to work. But a reflection on the chat section, Samir still insists that yes, still a lot of work and changes need to be made in the thought process of the people.
Definitely. And as psychology says, by becoming aware, it will start coming in your behavior. But at least become aware and try to accept. That's it. You don't have to do anything.
So thank you so much, ma'am. It is always a pleasure to share a platform with you and listen to your lectures. So thank you for your presence, ma'am.
Okay. I hope there's no other questions. So once again, thank you for inviting me, and I could share my views. I think.
Thank you so much. With this, I will hand over the platform to my colleagues and they will take forward the other series of lectures. My colleagues, Ms. Anushka Mishra and Ms. Janvi Parekh, will be continuing the session from here on. So over to you, Ms. Janvi.
Honorable dignitaries and learned delegates, a very good morning to one and all. I, Janvi Parekh, along with my colleague Ms. Anushka Mishra, MPhil second year clinical psychology trainees at Amity University, Lucknow, will be the host for the upcoming lectures. Our next guest of honor is Professor Dr. Rakesh Kumar Tripathi from the Department of Geriatric Mental Health, King George Medical University, KGMU, Lucknow. He is a registered clinical psychologist, having completed his MPhil from Ranchi Institute of Neuropsychiatry and Allied Sciences, RINPAS. He is an active member of Indian Association of Clinical Psychologists and Rehabilitation Council of India, RCI. He is a life member of Association of Industrial Psychiatry of India, AIP, as well as life member of Indian Association for Geriatric Mental Health, IAGMF. He is a clinical psychology officer at Rehabilitation Center for Challenged People and Behavior Change Communication Center, Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh. These areas of research expertise belong to cognitive psychology, community mental health, and neuropsychology, amongst others. With more than 13 years of academic and research experience, he has been recipient of various renowned awards and accolades and have published 3 authored books and 65 research papers in international and national journals. Please welcome Professor Dr. Rakesh Kumar Tripathi for his lecture on geriatric mental health and its role in setting strong social foundation of New India. Over to you, sir.
Yes. Am I audible? Hello? Am I audible?
Yes,
Anshika?
sir.
Yes, sir, you're audible. You're audible, sir.
Thank you for your... It would have been not possible. My colleagues, my friends and students. Let me share my presentation first. Is this visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. Now I am making it full screen. Yes. Please set the view that I can see the full slide. Hello. Okay. Is it visible? Now,
Yes, sir, it is visible.
okay.
Yes, sir, it is.
Thank you. The organizing committee of 4th International Conference of Indian Mental Health Research Center and CRPG College, who have been chosen a very apt topic, that developing New India, opportunities and challenges ahead. And the responsibility was given to me to talk about geriatric mental health and its role in setting a strong social foundation in New India. Before my presentation, Dr. Azra Shukla gave the vibrant lecture about the gender sensitivity. And now I am welcoming you all on the behalf of the first department of the geriatric mental health, established in the premises of King George's Medical University, Lucknow on 20th August 2005, and recognized by the Medical Council of India on 8th December 2010 for the training of DM in geriatric mental health. And this department was established by the Professor Sarvada Chandra Tiwari. Before going to my topic, I want to give disclaimer that this presentation is made for only academic or teaching purpose, not for any kind of commercial activity. I believe that the knowledge that I am going to share with you is not the final truth. It is an attempt to tell as much as I can understand by studying. You are free to agree or disagree with me. If you wish, you may develop your own understanding of this by studying the reference text on which I am speaking, or you may study other standard text sources for your enlightenment. आप सभी को छठ पूजा और बीती हुई दीपावली दोनों की हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं. Before going to the topic, I want to recite a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karvavahai, Tejasvina Vadhitamastu, Ma Vidusavahai, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. इसका भावार्थ है कि आचार्य और शिष्य दोनों साथ साथ प्रभु की रक्षा करें. हम दोनों जो भी सीखें वो हमारा पढ़ा हुआ तेजस्वी हो, हमें ज्ञान प्राप्ति करने का सामर्थ्य प्रदान करें और हम एक दूसरे से द्वेष न करें. इस प्रार्थना का मूल भाव ये है. So coming to the topic, and my points of consideration for this topic is that what is geriatric mental health? What is the status of geriatric mental health in India? And some points of social foundation in India in context with mental health, as well as geriatric mental health, and setting a strong social foundation in India, the role of geriatric mental health and the way forward. What is geriatric? Geriatric means old age. Old age refers to age nearing or surpassing the life expectancy of human beings and is thus the end of the human life cycle. And the life expectancy is 69.42 years according to the report, census report in 2018. Let us talk about the Bharatiya concept of Jeevadavastha, old age. In Ayurveda, it was written that aging is decay in body. In body, among anatomical tissues, sensory and motor organs, about waste products, about metabolic power, immunity, and various kind of mental and cognitive functioning. It was also written that aging is a swabhavaja vyadhi, means inbuilt natural disorder. And our body is made for all nine causative factors, which is Panch Mahabhuti, Chit, Jal, Pavak, Gagan, Samit, and 4 other factors, that is Man, Atma, Kal, and Disha. And of these, the time factor plays an important role in the production of aging. It is given by the Charak Sarir Sthan 6/13 about 1600 BC back. As we know, the definition that time factor is involved responsible for the aging, and it is also responsible for the chaya, any impairment. And it was also told by the Susrut that Siryate iti Sariram, जो सीरता रहता है वो शरीर है. और gerontology was taught in Ashtang Sangraha, written by the book Vagbhat in 200 AD, and where the Jara Janya Vyadhi or geriatric health issues were taken care of by the Rasayan Tantra. And we have heard about, and we used to eat Chavanpras, which was prepared by the Ashwini Kumars for the maintaining of our healthy pattern of the aging decay. In Indian scenario, as we see in the slide, that in 2050 there would be more elderly population, and in current scenario there is about 10 crores and 100 million older adults residing in our country. It is reported by the Tiwari and Pandey in 2015. Before going to talk about the mental health status or geriatric mental health, I would like to talk about the health definition as well as given by the WHO and in Indian literature. In WHO, health defined as a dynamic state of complete physical, mental, spiritual, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Whereas in Ayurveda it was written that Swasmin Tishtati iti swastha, जो अपने आप में सुख स्वरूप आत्मा में स्थित रहे वही स्वस्थ कहलाता है. सुश्रुत संहिता में कहा गया समदोष समाग्निश्च समधातु मलक्रिया प्रसन्नात्मेन्द्रिय मनः स्वस्थित्य विधीयते, जिसके तीनों दोष वात पित्त कफ और जिसकी जठराग्नि सम हो, जिसकी धातुओं रस रक्त मांस मेद अस्थि मज्जा शुक्र की क्रिया सम हो, जिसकी आत्मा इंद्रियां और मन प्रसन्न हो, वह स्वस्थ कहलाता है. पद्म पुराण में कहा गया बुद्धि स्वास्थ्यम मनः स्वास्थ्यम स्वास्थ्यम इंद्रियकम तथा, अर्थात बुद्धि मन तथा सभी इंद्रियों की स्वस्थता को धारण करने वाला स्वस्थ होता है. If we see the definition which was given in Ayurveda, it is a definition which can be achievable by an individual because it is independent and anybody can retain it in our own because it is given for a healthy person, for a person, whereas in WHO the definition of health is given and it is an abstract concept which is dependent upon other factors like physical, mental, spiritual, and social well-being, which is unachievable. And also it is incomplete because if we added spiritual component in few years before in this definition, so why not we can add economic, political, environmental, and blah 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 status of the health in the definition. And recently in 2015, the dynamic state of internal equilibrium is advocated by the Gadersi et al. 2015 in World Psychiatry Journal, which is going to be nearer this definition which is given by Indian literature. Now, the definition of mental health includes a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his ability, can cope with the normal stresses of life, work productivity and fruitfully, and is able to make contribution to the community. When we see the mental health status of geriatric population, we see that there is a decay in physical activities there are decay in age-associated abilities, and coping and normal stresses of life is difficult for them, and retirement, less productive and low efficiency is the outcome of the older age. And also he is able to make contribution to his community, but if they cannot, elderly or older adults or adult population cannot do these things appropriately, it means they are suffering from one or other kind of illnesses or mental illnesses. Now we come to the psychiatric morbidity. In our study 2014, it was found that about 17.34% elderly population have psychiatric morbidity, and it is prevalent in more in females and in lower socioeconomic status. Another study which was done in our department, it was found that 23.7% rural older adults are suffering from mental health disorder. And this is the bifurcation of the different kind of disorders which was found in that study. Here, Alzheimer's dementia was found to be 2.47% prevalent, and mood disorder is very common, that is about 7.83%. And if we see the burden of the dementia in the population of India, it is expected to rise about 14.32 million in our country. And at present situation, it is between 5 to 6 million population. And social foundation, when I searched a website about the social foundation, it was found that it is made about 11 boundaries that draw attention to communities needing access to basic resources to fulfill their human needs. And these 11 factors are food, income, water and sanitation, healthcare, education, energy, gender equality, social equality, voice, jobs, and resilience. And for geriatric mental health, all 11 are required to deal with. Dr. Archana Shukla talked about the gender equality, but it was, I think, it was a more of about the social equality of the gender, not the gender equality. In my opinion, a person, female and male, is different by birth. So therefore, gender equality cannot be done. But, and I personally feel that female are far superior from male persons. But we are trying to equalize gender in terms of social awareness or social acceptance. And 2 days ago, it was announced by BCCI that male and female, both cricket teams have equal payment for their games. The social foundation, the UN decided Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations by 2013, and UN gave 17 goals to be achieved. That is no poverty, zero hunger, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industry innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumptions and production, climate action, life below water, life and land, peace, justice and strong institutions. And the last one is partnership for the goals. And in my view, there is limitation in these goals which was given by the UN. The goals are not based on the basis of SMART goals, and hence some of them are unachievable. That like the term like no poverty and zero hunger, it is, I think, unachievable. neither specific nor achievable in time-bound condition. And so far to achieve health and well-being, because the health definition which I have discussed earlier is not up to the mark yet, which can be achievable by all. And similar condition for gender equality I have discussed earlier. And recently in Aliganj में, लखनऊ अलीगंज में बुजुर्गों के मनोरंजन केंद्र एक खुला हुआ है, तो services are being enhanced for the elderly population in our state of Uttar Pradesh and India as well. And mental health policy for elderly, the policy statement is given by the Indian Association for Geriatric Mental Health in 2019, and it is published in Journal of Geriatric Mental Health, where the 8 steps are given to meet the mental health policy, to meet the requirement for the mental health of elderly population. And it is the burden of mental health problems, about 20.5% average prevalence, physical morbidity between 20 to 40%, mortality and suicide is very high in older population, and caregiver burden for dementia patients and for treatment and dementia patients, and most of the dementia patients are dependent on caregivers for their activities of daily living. Economic burden is higher for the treatment and caregiving, and there is treatment gap about 67%, means 67% are not taking treatment of any kind of mental health problems. And there is need for resources, workforce which are inadequate, and vision for national mental health policy for elderly was advocated for good physical and mental health, for stigma reduction, for prevention possible mental health problems, access to care for mental disorders, recovery from mental illnesses, and contribution to the society. When we see the mental health status of the elderly population in India, we found that about 20% is mentally unhealthy and 80% is mentally healthy. Actually, the percentage is 20.5 and 79.5, but pi is not receiving this digit for making the pie chart. However, it is written 20%. So means 20% which are suffering from mental health problems require mental health care and rehabilitation services. And rest 80% is, and 84% is treatment gap. Recently 2020 study found that there is 84% treatment gap for taking the treatment. It means 84% out of 100%, 84 is not taking any kind of treatment, and 80% is mentally healthy, and these are available to make a strong social foundation of New India. And 80% means about 79.5%. Let us see. In 2012, a paper published in Indian Journal of Psychiatry stated and requirements of geriatric mental health services in India, and evidence-based commentary from the department. And for those 20.5%, those having mental health problem, for those, here are the services available in India. And if we see that psychiatrist, clinical psychologist, psychiatric social worker is required 1 per 100 beds, and thus 7,200 psychiatrist, clinical psychologist, psychiatric social worker is required to take care of the problems of the population. And for the general population, more than 2,020,000 psychiatrists, 44,588 clinical psychologists, almost double, and PSW is required to meet the mental health problems of the general population. And for geriatric population, 17,715 clinical psychologists and 18,360 psychiatrists is required to take care of these problems. In 2020, we have published a paper in World Psychiatry Journal, the mental health promotion for elderly population in World Health Organization Southeast Asia region needs and resource gap. Here, see that in our India, total mental health professional in India is about 25,312 per 1 lakh population. And if see the bifurcation, here is only 0.29, not 1.29 psychiatrists is available, and for the psychologist and social worker, it is very, very less. The figure is given in the point. So we can see there is a huge gap for the mental health services for the geriatric population. And if we see the article again says that mental hospitals is 136 in India and 389 psychiatric units in general hospitals where the OPD of psychiatry is running, and in private hospitals only 152, and in private practitioners is more than 1,000 in our country. And if we see the expenditure of per person from the government of India, only is 4 rupees for the mental health problems, and total expenditure of health only 1.3% is given to the mental health problems. And for overall WHO zero country, if we see that requirement of the more than 49,000 psychiatrists and almost double clinical psychologists, psychiatric social workers, and psychiatric nurses is required for the elderly population. And if we see the availability of geriatric mental health services in India, there is very less centers are there. One is our center, Geriatric Mental Health Department, Vridhavastha Manasik Swasthya Vibhag in King George Medical University. Another is in NIMHANS, Bangalore, and some of the NGOs are doing good job like Helpage India. Recently, certificates courses in geriatric caregivers is developed by the National Institute of Social Defense, and it is for 3 months duration. And certificate course in caregiving is also provided by the Rehabilitation Council of India. And this was the manpower distribution and requirement for those 20% population which are mentally ill. But rest of the population which is mentally healthy, about 80%, what can we do for them? In my view, there will be employability of elderly in Make in India projects. There are many projects are coming up for the betterment of the people and for the making the India sustainable and developed. And I think the experience related field person may give employment to those areas. And if we see that the retirement age is going on 62 to 62 and 65, and now some people are asking about 70 years of age, I think retired person may give their services voluntarily, or they offer the services from their previous departments to the betterment of the economy, betterment of that field to make India best. We have conducted life skill training workshop in geriatric mental health population, geriatric mental health field for postgraduate student, and we found that after a workshop, the major 10 skills are improved when we assess after the workshop, and it can be promoted to aware the younger generation and to take care of the mental health problem of the elderly. The mental health policy for older adults, Indian Association for Geriatric Mental Health advocated, and they recommended the strategies and directions affections, and they written that the recognition of geriatric mental health is required from the government, non-government, and general population of our country. And there is need to mental health promotion and prevention, intervention, and community and primary care activities can be clubbed. Any mental health, physical health services and mental health services can be clubbed together to make it more accessible. And training is required for the paramedical also, and caregivers also. Rehabilitative and services is also need to be enhanced, and caregiver support services is also required. And research, without research we cannot make a policy or cannot recommend to government to provide the things required for the elder adults. Mental promotion and prevention activity can be promote through concept of aging in place or in own home. Yesterday, Professor Jaidi was told about community-based rehabilitation program, worker CBRW. It means if we plan, we can plan the community-based rehabilitation workers. They can provide the services in their places, in their home, and to strengthen the family system. As we are aware that most of the families are now the single family, है so there is lack of caregivers, and thus the strengthening of the family system is required, and support is required to make established citizens associations. Legal support is required, helpline is required, provision for social security, old age homes for one district in state, all district in the state is recommended for from the IAGMS. And employment, about employability I have discussed earlier, and prevention strategies for those illnesses that vascular risk factor can be managed and chronic illness can be managed. And training is recommended for community care health workers, and for the trained professionals also, because only few centers have training program for the mental health problems. In my view, from developing strong social foundation of the country related with the mental health, geriatric mental health, younger population more inclined to the investment. That's why I have written 5 things about investment. Investments in sanskaron mein nivesh, investment in health, swasthya mein nivesh, investment in money, dhan mein nivesh, investment in relationships, संबंधों में निवेश, और इन्वेस्टमेंट इन ड्यूटीज, कर्तव्यों में निवेश. अगर हम इनमें निवेश करते हैं तो एक बेटर सोशल फाउंडेशन प्रिपेयर कर पाएंगे हम भारतवर्ष के लिए. और जब ड्यूटीज की बात होती है तो हमारे वेदांग में जो है 4 स्टेजेस ऑफ लाइफ और 4 एम ऑफ लाइफ, जिसको पुरुषार्थ और आश्रम व्यवस्था कहते हैं, इसकी चर्चा है. ब्रह्मचर्य, गृहस्थ, वानप्रस्थ और संन्यास, ये 4 आश्रमों की चर्चा है. धर्म, अर्थ, काम, मोक्ष, ये 4 पुरुषार्थों की चर्चा है. और इनको अगर हम पालन करते हैं तो आपस में कहीं भी कॉन्फ्लिक्ट जो होता है वो रिजॉल्व हो जाते हैं, और बहुत सारी प्रॉब्लम्स भी दूर हो जाती है, मैनेज हो जाती है. तो जो एज ग्रुप है, यानी वानप्रस्थ का एज ग्रुप है, 50 to 75 ईयर्स का जो एज ग्रुप है, वहां से एल्डरली पॉपुलेशन की शुरुआत अगर देख लें 60 प्लस है, लेकिन 50 to 75 जो है वो वानप्रस्थ, और उसके बाद 75 to 100 ईयर्स गृहस्थ की बात होती है. तो अगर वानप्रस्थ और गृहस्थ आश्रम के जो भी कॉन्सेप्ट है उसको अगर हम यूज करते हैं तो बेटर जो है ओल्ड मेंटल हेल्थ हो सकता है ओल्ड एडल्ट का. एक काका हाथरसी जी की कविता की पंक्तियां हैं, वो बोलते हैं कि कैसे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रिजोल्यूशन हो सकता है, कैसे ओल्ड एडल्ट हेल्दी हो सकता है, मेंटली हेल्दी हो सकता है. तो वो लिखते हैं, 70-80 के हुए उपजा तन मन बोध, फिर भी सर पर चढ़े हैं लोभ, मोह और क्रोध। मोह, लोभ और क्रोध को, जीभ को बस में रखिए। घर के कामों में दखल अंदाजी मत करिए। अगर मन नहीं लगता तो आहें मत भरिए। ये काका जैसी वस्तुतः वानप्रस्थी होने की बात कर रहे हैं कि अपने आप को सारी चीजों से डिटैच कर लिया जाए। मैंने इसमें एक लाइन ऐड की कि कुछ योग साधना कर इस भव सागर से तरिए। तो ड्यूटीज की बात ऐसे नहीं की जा रही है, एविडेंस बेस्ड स्टडीज भी है, लिटरेचर भी है, जिनमें इंडियन कॉन्सेप्ट की चर्चा हो गई है मेंटल हेल्थ एज में, जो पब्लिश है इंडियन जर्नल ऑफ साइकेट्री में, जिसमें ये आश्रम और पुरुषार्थ की बात हुई है और अष्टांग योग की बात हुई है कि कैसे हम अपने आप को स्वस्थ बना सकते हैं। और उन लिटरेचर्स में जो पुरानी लिटरेचर एंशिएंट इंडियन लिटरेचर है उसमें उन्माद यानी मेनिया, अवसाद, डिप्रेशन, सन्निपात, डिलीरियम, स्मृति भ्रंश, डिमेंशिया, मेधा क्षय यानी माइल्ड कॉग्निटिव इम्पेयरमेंट, स्मृति क्षय, मेमोरी इम्पेयरमेंट की चर्चा मिलती है। ऐसे ही आयुर्वेदिक कॉन्सेप्ट जो है मेंटल हेल्थ को चिकित्सा के लिए सत्वावजय, युक्त व्यपाश्रय और दैवव्यप्राशय, ये चिकित्सा पद्धतियां दी गई हैं मानसिक स्वास्थ्य को डील करने के लिए। त्रिगुण की बात होती है, सतरस्तम, त्रिदोष की बात, वत, वात, पित्त, कफ, स्वस्थ वृत्त, सद्वृत्त और योग, इनका पालन करने से हम त्रिदोषों को, त्रिदोष है वात, पित्त, कफ, इनको संतुलित कर सकते हैं और स्वस्थ रहा जा सकता है। तो ये हमारे जो है आयुर्वेदिक कॉन्सेप्ट हैं और इन कॉन्सेप्ट को प्रोफेसर अजीत अवस्थी ये रिकमेंड करते हैं कि वी शुड बी ओपन टू द इनकॉर्पोरेशन ऑफ इंडियन कॉन्सेप्ट टू आवर प्रैक्टिस एंड आल्सो टेस्ट द एप्लीकेबिलिटी ऑफ मेथड्स। तो ये कहते हैं कि इसको समाहित किया जा सकता है और मेंटल हेल्थ में यूज किया जा सकता है। एविडेंस बेस्ड है, नगेंद्र एचआर ने बताया कि अगर योग थेरेपी का यूज करते हैं तो कॉमिंग इफेक्ट होता है इसका, इंक्रीजिंग अवेयरनेस इंक्रीज होती है, अटेंशन इंक्रीज होता है, एक्सेप्टेंस और एडेप्टेबिलिटी बढ़ती है और सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी होती है। और ये इंटीग्रेटेड अप्रोच फॉर योग थेरेपी का इम्पैक्ट जो हुआ, इन्होंने कहा जो कोष डिफरेंट टाइप के बताया गया बॉडी में, आनंदमय कोष, प्राणमय कोष, मनोमय कोष, विज्ञानमय कोष और आनंदमय कोष, ये सारे कोष हैं, ये सारे कोषों को जो है आपूर्ति होती है और ये बेहतर ढंग से काम करते हैं। इसके जो लेवल्स हैं वो करेक्ट होते हैं, बैलेंस बना रहता है, ये योग का इफेक्ट है। इसके अलावा जर्मनी में एक स्टडी हुई 2012 में और ये देखा गया कि डिप्रेशन और फटीग में इसका इम्प्रूवमेंट होता है, कॉग्निशन और इमोशन इम्प्रूव करते हैं और ये पेन एसोसिएटेड डिसेबिलिटी है उसमें भी इम्प्रूवमेंट होता है। तो ये एविडेंस बेस्ड है स्टडीज। ये भी देखा गया, ये स्टडी केरल की है जिसमें देखा गया कि ओम चैंटिंग का, ओम का उच्चारण करने से डिप्रेशन, एंग्जाइटी, स्ट्रेस, कॉग्निशन और हाइपरटेंशन भी इम्प्रूव होते हैं एल्डरली पॉपुलेशन। अब बात करते हैं कि पॉलिसीज क्या क्या हैं इंडियन पॉपुलेशन में। तो पॉलिसीज, मेंटल हेल्थ केयर एक्ट 2017 में पॉलिसी दिया गया है। इसमें ये आयुष डॉक्टर्स को भी मेंटल हेल्थ प्रॉब्लम्स को डील करने के लिए उसमें सहमति दे दी गई है। इसके अलावा फ्री मेडिकेशन की एडवाइस भी उसमें दी गई है और बच्चों और बुजुर्गों के लिए विशेष व्यवस्था की गई है। इसके अलावा एनपीओपी, नेशनल पॉलिसी फॉर ओल्डर पॉपुलेशन 1999 है, नेशनल पॉलिसी फॉर हेल्थ केयर ऑफ एल्डरली 2010 है, नेशनल पॉलिसीज फॉर सीनियर सिटीजन्स 2011 है, जो कि बात करते हैं मेंटल हेल्थ स्टेटस को इम्प्रूव करने की। न्यू पॉलिसीज एंड एक्ट आए हैं, नेशनल मेडिकल काउंसिल ने नया फार्मूला है एनसीआई की जगह पर। न्यू एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020 की चर्चा अभी मॉर्निंग में एकदम डिटेल में प्रोफेसर नसरीन ने किया। रिप्रेजेंटेशन काउंसिल ऑफ इंडिया भी कुछ कोर्सेज चला रही है जिसमें कि जो क्लिनिकल साइकोलॉजिस्ट के कोर्सेज हैं, बहुत सारे केयर गिवर्स के कोर्सेज हैं और बहुत पैरामेंटल हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल्स के कोर्सेज हैं। और जो नेशनल कमीशन फॉर एलाइड एंड हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशन एक्ट 2021 डेवलप हुआ है, इसमें साइकोलॉजिस्ट को एक जो है बिहेवियरल हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल की कैटेगरी में रखा गया है, हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशनल की कैटेगरी में रखा गया है और ये इसको इतना आसान बना दिया गया है कि अब हमें अगर ये आगामी 5-6 वर्षों में जो है बहुत सारे ह्यूमन रिसोर्स डेवलपमेंट हो जाएंगे जो कि मेंटल हेल्थ को टेक केयर करेंगे। एक नई पॉलिसी भी है, नेशनल एक्शन प्लान डेवलप हुआ है सीनियर सिटीजन्स के लिए मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ सोशल जस्टिस एंड एम्पावरमेंट के द्वारा। ये अभी 2020 में हुआ है जिसके जो गोल्स हैं, जो अभी रिकमेंडेशन थी IHMS की, लगभग कुछ बहुत सारी इसमें आ गए। इसमें फाइनेंशियल सिक्योरिटी, हेल्थ केयर एंड न्यूट्रिशन की बात है, चिल्ड्रन एंड वेलफेयर की बात है, प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ लाइफ एंड पॉवर्टी ऑफ सीनियर सिटीजन की बात है, एक्टिव एंड प्रोडक्टिव एजिंग एंड इंटरनेशनल बॉन्डिंग एंड स्किल डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम चलाने की बात इसमें है, एक्सेसिबिलिटी, ट्रांसपोर्ट एंड एज फ्रेंडली एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट करना एक ऑब्जेक्टिव है, अवेयरनेस जनरेशन एंड कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग ऑब्जेक्टिव है, promoting silver economy, senior friendly industrial goods and services in the society प्लान है, रिसर्च स्टडी और प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट का प्लान है। और सबसे अच्छी बात यह है कि 200 करोड़ रुपए पर ईयर इस प्रोजेक्ट के लिए दिया गया है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से। तो यहाँ पर जा करके हम लोग इस पॉलिसी को देख सकते हैं और ये जो फंड है इसको कैसे यूटिलाइज कर सकते हैं अपने लेवल से, इसको देख करके हम अपने भारतवर्ष को एक स्ट्रॉन्ग सोशल फाउंडेशन दे सकते हैं। अब द वे फॉरवर्ड क्या क्या हो सकता है इसके बारे में चर्चा। सबसे पहली बात मैंने की कि रिवाइजिंग द हेल्थ definition of the health and mental health is required to achieve it exponentially, and inculcating the socio-cultural aspect of the Bharatiya culture and implementation, monitoring and evaluation of existing policies which are given by the government of India for the welfare of the elder population, advocacy for adoption and policy statement of Indian Association for Geriatric Mental Health, and emphasis on lifestyle changes is required. And to fulfill gaps in services using cost-effective measures like yoga and investment in sanskar, health, money, relationship, and in duty can be done to make a strong social foundation to making geriatric mental health population healthy and well. And judicious use of technology, electronic and social media is required. And Manas app is launched by the FMC Pune and Nimhans Bangalore in I think 2 weeks ago for welfare of the all population, for the mental health population. And conference like this to aware sensitization and planning is also required. And we all know that future is for the mobile apps, and there are many mental health app is available online. We can use it to make our mental health better. Acknowledgement is these are references for my presentations. Thank you very much for giving me time and opportunity to share my thought. Over to you, Ms. Anushka. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing this knowledge. I'm sure all of us have multiple takeaways. Coming from a joint family myself, living with grandparents, geriatric mental health is very close to my heart. Your take on it, especially integrating it with Indian philosophy, is very enriching. Thank you so much, sir. There are a few questions in the chat box, if you may allow.
Yes, please.
Abhay Srivastava is asking, what can we do to change the attitude of a large geriatric population about living a retired life and not working after a certain age?
Okay, thank you. This is a very good question. First thing, regarding the younger population, I used to tell about one slok that in which it was told that चार चीजें बढ़ती हैं अगर हम अभिवादनशीलस्य नित्यवृद्धोपसेविना चत्वारि तस्य वर्धन्ते आयुर्विद्या यशो बलम। यदि हम अपने बुजुर्गों की सेवा करते हैं, आयु, यश, बल और बुद्धि का विकास होता है। तो एक मोटिवेटिंग फैक्टर है यंगर जनरेशन को कि वो अपने एल्डर की केयर करें। ये चारों चीजें ऐसे बढ़ती हैं। रिटायरमेंट की बात, रिटायरमेंट होना है लेकिन एक्टिव रहना है लाइफ में। तो जैसे कि मैंने रिकमेंड किया कि अगर वो रिटायर हो रहे हैं तो मान लीजिए वो किसी जॉब में हैं, जॉब से रिटायर हो रहे हैं, तो वो जो उनका अफिलिएशन है उसके साथ उनको जुड़े रहना चाहिए। और ये अफिलिएशन जिस भी इंस्टीट्यूशन के साथ है उनको भी उन्हें प्रोवाइड करना चाहिए, भले वॉलंटरी बेसिस पे, ऑनररी बेसिस पे। जैसे टीचर्स हैं तो उनको एमेरिटस प्रोफेसर बना दिया जाता है, तो वो जुड़े हैं तो उनके एक्सपीरियंसेस को हम जो है ले सकते हैं। इसी तरीके की बात मैंने अभी प्रेजेंटेशन में की, मेक इन इंडिया का जो है प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है, ठीक है। तो उसमें जितनी भी उनकी एक्सपर्टीज है, जो भी है, उस एक्सपर्टीज को यूज कर सकते हैं। तो रिटायरमेंट का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप रिटायरमेंट के बाद हो सकता है कि आपकी अर्निंग कम हो जाए, लेकिन लाइफ में एक्टिव रहना है, एक सोसाइटी जनरेट करनी है आपस में अपने एल्डर ग्रुप की, ठीक है, उन रोज मॉर्निंग वॉक इवनिंग वॉक करना है, गेट टुगेदर करना है ना, आपस में अपनी एक्सपीरियंसेस शेयर करने हैं और अपने यंगर जनरेशन को गाइड करना है। तो रिटायरमेंट एज सच तो होता ही नहीं है, बात डिटैचमेंट की होती है। जब मैंने कहा ना वानप्रस्थी होने की बात कही, तो वानप्रस्थी होना है। वानप्रस्थी होने का क्या मतलब है कि जो हमारा मोह है, चाहे वो धन के साथ हो, परिवार के साथ हो, किसी भी रिलेशनशिप के साथ हो, उस मोह को कम करना है और हमें अपनी सारी ऊर्जा सोसाइटी को कंट्रीब्यूट करनी है, ठीक है, समाज को देनी है, उसके अपलिफ्टमेंट के लिए काम करनी है। एक तो ये है। दूसरी ये है कि जैसे कि गवर्नमेंट आजकल क्या है कि बहुत सारे लोग, जैसे हमने कहा कि आप ही ने क्वेश्चन पूछा, ज्वाइंट फैमिली नहीं है, तो अब केयर गिवर रिक्वायरमेंट है, केयर गिवर की ट्रेनिंग अब बहुत जरूरी है, तो हमें अब पेड केयर गिवर की आवश्यकता पड़ेगी, ठीक है। तो ये लाउड थिंकिंग है, क्या हम न्यूक्लियर फैमिली से ज्वाइंट फैमिली की तरफ जाएं, पहली चीज। दूसरी चीज, अभी जो पॉपुलेशन की बात होनी है, पॉपुलेशन तो वास्तव में बढ़ती जा रही है, लेकिन अभी हालांकि मैं गवर्नमेंट के अगेंस्ट नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, कहते हैं ना कि हम तो हमारे दो क्या अप्रोच चल रहा है, तो अगर ऐसे ही चलता रहा तो हमारे पास कहाँ रहेंगे केयर गिवर, कहाँ मिलेंगे, सब एल्डरली पॉपुलेशन होंगे, तो कहाँ से लाएंगे? या तो ट्रेंड वर्कर्स हमारे पास हो जो उनकी टेक केयर करें, या तो गवर्नमेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जैसे कि विदेशों में होता है कि ओल्ड एज होम्स बने हुए हैं, या एक प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है अलसी करके है प्रोजेक्ट, है ना, तो उसमें क्या है कि आप पैसा जमा कर सकते हो, या ये गीता भवन है वाराणसी में है, डॉक्टर वेणुगोपाल सवर ने शुरू किया है कि आप पैसा जमा कर देते हो और जब तक आप जीवित रहते हो तब तक कोई टेक केयर करते रहते हैं आप, ठीक है। तो इस तरीके के नया कल्चर आने वाला है, और पर्सनली मैं प्रमोट नहीं करता ओल्ड एज होम्स को। मैं तो ये चाहता हूँ कि एल्डरली की केयर फैमिली में ही रह करके हो जाए तो ज़्यादा अच्छा है। तो रिटायरमेंट क्यों होना? रिटायरमेंट मोह से करना, माया से करना, लिप्सा से करना है, ठीक है। अपने अनुभवों को बांटते रहना है यंगर जनरेशन में, उनको गाइड करना है।
Thank you, sir. So there's one more question by Azim. He's asking how a psychologist can make use of Ayurveda and spirituality in their profession without undergoing the whole course of Ayurveda or spirituality.
Very good question. Ayurveda and spirituality. First thing, आयुर्वेद क्या है? आयुर्वेद जो है वो स्वस्थ रहने का विज्ञान है, ठीक है। वो लाइफ स्टाइल बताता है उसमें कि हम कैसे हेल्दी रहें, और जो एलिमेंट्स हैं उनको दूर करने की बात करता है। तो आयुर्वेद जो है हमको हेल्दी बनने की तरफ ले जाता है। तो आयुर्वेद की जो प्रैक्टिसेस हैं उसमें क्या है, पर्सनालिटीज की अगर बात करते हैं तो सत्व रज तम की बात हुई, ये पर्सनालिटी मेजर पर्सनालिटीज हैं। तो उन पर्सनालिटीज में जो भी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं उनको कैसे हम बैलेंस करें, ठीक है, उसकी बात वहां पर की जा सकती है। और दूसरी बात यह है कि जो हमारा कल्चर है, जो हमारा बुजुर्ग है, जो अभी भी गांव से बिलोंग करता है, तो वो सांस्कृतिक रूप से अपनी जड़ों से जुड़ा हुआ है। जैसे मैंने कहा छठ पूजा है, तो जितनी भी महिलाएं हैं, जितने भी पुरुष हैं, जितने भी बुजुर्ग हैं, ये सब तन्मयता से जुड़े हुए हैं। तो ये क्या है कि एक परिपाटी चली आ रही है और उसमें क्या करना है, एक दिनचर्या बताई जाती है, सूर्योदय से पहले उठना है, ठीक है। तो ये दिनचर्या कहाँ से आती है? ये आयुर्वेद में बताया गया है कि सूर्योदय से पहले उठना है। तो वो क्यों उठना है? क्योंकि वो हेल्दी प्रैक्टिस है। तो आयुर्वेद के जो कॉन्सेप्ट हैं उन कॉन्सेप्ट को यूज कर सकते हैं। अब जैसे जो विधा बताई थी, 3 विधा बताई थी, सत्वावजय, युक्त व्यप्रसय और एक और थी। तो उसमें क्या है, टेक्निक यूज कर सकते हैं। जैसे अपने मन को शांत और शुद्ध करने के लिए हम वो हेल्दी बिहेवियर कर सकते हैं। सत्वावजय में क्या बोलते हैं कि हम सत्य को धारण करें। तो सत्य को धारण का मतलब क्या है कि हम बुराई ना करें, ठीक है, हम कोई गलत काम ना करें, हम किसी से ईर्ष्या ना करें, द्वेष ना करें, क्योंकि ये इनको उसमें कहा गया है कि ये मानसिक वेग है, काम, क्रोध, लोभ, है ना, ईर्ष्या, मत्सर, ये सब है। तो ये वेग है, अगर इनको हम धारण करते हैं तो हम मानसिक रोगी हो जाते हैं। तो कैसे उसको अलग करना है? अगली विधा उसमें आती है कि मंत्र विधि से, मंत्र से होता है ट्रीटमेंट। तो अभी हमने एविडेंस बेस दिखाया कि ओम का उच्चारण करने से डिप्रेशन और सारी चीजें होती है। तो ये कहाँ से चीजें आ रही है? ये हमारे कल्चर से रिलेटेड है ना। तो ओम मंत्र के उच्चारण में आता है। इसी तरीके से जब किसी हम मंत्र का जप करते हैं, तो मंत्र के जप करने से डिस्ट्रैक्शन यूज करते हैं ना हम लोग आधुनिक पद्धति में। तो डिस्ट्रैक्शन क्या है कि हम एक पर्टिकुलर जो एंजाइटी ओरिएंटेड जो हमारा बिहेवियर है, अप्रोच है, या किसी भी प्रकार का जो है मालएडेप्टिव है, उससे ध्यान हटाने के लिए हम डिस्ट्रैक्ट करते हैं अपने आप को, सही चीजों में लगाते हैं। तो मंत्र का जप करना क्या है? हमको फोकस्ड एक वो देता है, कंसंट्रेट कर पाते हैं। ठीक है, तो हम अपने आप को खींच सकते हैं बार बार। अगर हम जब करते रहे तो अपने आप को कंसंट्रेट कर सकते हैं। एक उसका फायदा ये है, बेनिफिट ये है। और हमने शुरू में प्रार्थना की, उसमें क्या था, लास्ट में था कि हम एक दूसरे से द्वेष न करें, उस प्रार्थना में है। ठीक है ना। तो हम जब द्वेष नहीं करेंगे तो हमारा मेंटल हेल्थ बेहतर होगा। अलग सी चीज आई, इन्होंने कहा स्पिरिचुअलिटी को कैसे करते हैं। स्पिरिचुअलिटी में हम जब बात करते हैं तो स्पिरिचुअलिटी को समझने के कई एस्पेक्ट हैं। मैं सिंपल एस्पेक्ट बताता हूँ कि टू स्टडी योरसेल्फ, टू स्टडी आवर स्पिरिट इज स्पिरिचुअलिटी, टू स्टडी आवर सेल्फ इज स्पिरिचुअलिटी। अपने बारे में अगर हम अध्ययन करते हैं तो स्पिरिचुअलिटी है। तो हमारी अपने जो स्वॉट एनालिसिस से स्ट्रेंथ वीकनेस को डिवाइड वो कर सकते हैं। तीसरी चीज ये है कि अगर हम बात करते हैं तो मेरा अपना मानना है कि जो सबसे बड़े साइकोथेरेपिस्ट हुए वो श्री कृष्ण हुए, जो है अर्जुन को उन्होंने लड़ने योग्य बनाया, युद्ध करने योग्य बनाया, बैटल ग्राउंड ऑफ कुरुक्षेत्र। तो जो श्रीमद् भगवद गीता है अपने आप में एक साइकोथेरेपी की बुक है। ठीक है, तो उसके माध्यम से अगर हम देखते हैं तो उसमें बताया गया है कैसे हेल्दी लिविंग करते हैं। युक्त आहार विहारस्य युक्त चेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्त स्वप्नाओ बोधस्तु। तो उन्होंने कहा, उसमें भी बात कही युक्त आहार और विहार की, सही समय पर जगना, सही समय पर सोना, सही खाना, सही बोलना, सारा कुछ करना। तो एक्टिविटीज ऑफ डेली लिविंग वहीं पे आ गया। बिहेवियरल थेरेपी के कंपोनेंट वहीं पे आ गए, कॉग्निटिव थेरेपी के कंपोनेंट आ गए। तो इस तरीके से इसको यूज कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, तो आई थिंक I have given some clues how can we use Ayurveda and spirituality concept in psychological counseling, and it depends upon your counseling object, your client, your patient, what is her or his orientation, है ना। आप सब कुछ नहीं कर सकते, वो उसकी ओरिएंटेशन के हिसाब से कर सकते हैं। ओके, थैंक यू।
So that was a great answer. Thank you so much for your knowledge and sharing it with us. I would now like to hand over the dais to my colleague, Miss Anushka Mishra, to take over the session forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Janvi, and thank you so much, sir, for this lecture. Our next, before that, I'm Anushka, and I will be hosting the next session. Our next speaker is Dr. Nadeem Kirmani. Dr. Mustafa Nadeem Kirmani is currently an associate professor and head at the Amity Institute of Clinical Psychology, AICP, Amity University, Haryana. A trained and licensed clinical psychologist from National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, Bangalore, Dr. Kirmani has 10 years of teaching and professional experience and was awarded his PhD in psychology in 2016 from Aligarh Muslim University. With 66 publications in different national and international peer-reviewed and refereed journals, conference proceedings, and as book chapters, Sir also has 18 accredited professional programs related to psychology and clinical psychology. He is also a professional life member of Indian Association of Clinical Psychologists and a regular member of the American Psychological Association. It is with great privilege and honor, sir, that I welcome you for your lecture on exploring the constructs of happiness for a developed India. Over to you, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Okay, thanks. I think my PPT, who will be moving?
Yes, sir.
Or
Just-
Acha.
Yes, sir, we're ready when you are.
Okay, okay. So I hope I'm audible, and yeah. So first, good afternoon to everyone, and I'm extremely grateful to the organization to give me this time so that I can present my understanding of what construct of happiness there in our country for the for developing India and towards developed India. So the whole idea of my presentation is, as a psychologist, as a clinical psychologist, as a social scientist, that we need to explore the constructs of happiness that is already existing in our country. Okay, but those constructs are actually not being put into day-to-day practice in a real sense, or they are not put into our clinical domains. So they are unnoticed, although they are very prevalent. Most of the people know them, but we have not been able to put them into our practice, into our clinical practice also. So let us understand what are those constructs so that we can start using them into our day-to-day practice. We can start using them in a clinical practice so that we can increase wellness of the whole population of our country. Let us start exploring that one by one. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, I would like all the audience to just reflect and think. Cultural goal, it's a very simple observation as a scientist, as a social scientist, that when you do a greeting to someone, okay, or you say namaskar or namaste or assalamu alaikum, you might have observed, and I have observed also, that people say khush raho beta, khush raho. Okay, so when people say khush raho, it implies that if you go deep and interview them, if you ask them why you are returning my greeting by saying khush raho, it means that they will say towards the end of the interview, if you want to take them, that khush rehna is a very important thing. Khush raho means that being happy and khush raho is one of the idealistic goals that our culture carries within itself. Therefore, people return our greetings by saying khush raho and be happy. And again, this construct, although it is so prevalent, but it is not much explored and not much used in our clinical practice or even our day-to-day practice. So I will start by my presentation by giving this idea, one of the important cultural goals of our country or for developed India is that khush raho is an ideal state that we all want to strive towards that. Okay, that is our goal, basic goal that is very prevalent as we observe people. When we greet them, they say khush raho. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. Now, another construct that it is there, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, which is a verse taken from Maha Upanishad, chapter 6, verses 71 to 75, which means, if we can translate that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam as world is one family. If we go to the Indian Parliament, we find that Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is there. It is written at Indian Parliament. What does it mean is world is a one family. If you translate that, it means world is one family. If we go deep into this, it means the cultural concept embedded in our country, the whole world is one family. It means that we need to build strong connections among all of us, irrespective of gender, irrespective of faith, irrespective of caste, irrespective of race, irrespective of any language or things like that. Okay, so that is a message that is being there in our culture that we need to open up and work on this so that we start looking at each other as a family. Now let us understand why it is important. A lot of research, clinical evidence and empirical research in the area of social sciences, in the area of psychology of happiness, in the area of psychology have shown that relationship is one of the strongest predictors which promote not only happiness, it also promotes wellness and happiness, wellness and health. So we need to understand and start using this construct of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day behaviors, so that we start building relationship with people, quality relationship with people. As I said, building quality relationship with people is one of the strongest predictors, one of the strongest factors, which not only lead to happiness, it also improves our relationship, it also improves our health. So that is a construct number one. Next slide, please. Now, as I said, implications, clinical psychology implications of happiness, implication of this. Research in genetics have shown that all human beings have around 99% similarity. If you talk to a genetic person who is working in the area of human genetics, they will tell us that they inform us that all human beings, irrespective of where they stay, irrespective of the country, they say they have shown us that 99% of all of us have similar genetics component. Means 99%, all of us have 99% genetic similarity. A very strong component, which is if you relate it to Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, you'll find that it is already embedded in our culture, that we all belong to one family, which is being also revealed by scientists in the area of human genetics. Now, second point is, as I said, that interpersonal connection and cohesiveness. What it means is, what it implies is, what it teaches us, what it trains, implies to teaches us is we all need to build interpersonal connections and cohesiveness. We need to build cohesiveness, and we have to build quality relationship, because quality relationship has a strong predictor of happiness. Now, I would like to quote one research or one book. Broken Heart. There's a book written by one cardiologist in 1950s, and the name of the book is Broken Heart, in which he says that, this hypertension or cardiovascular disorders are found more in those people who feel lonely. It means the thesis of the book is, again, loneliness can be worked upon by building connections. Okay, so when we build interpersonal connections, when we build quality relationship, it not only caters our mental health, it also takes care of our health, physical health, in terms of hypertension, and it also leads to increase our wellness and happiness. Next slide, please. Now, construct number 2, which is, I think we all must have seen this: bhandaras, langars, zakat. Muslim pay zakat. Langars is very common in Sikh community. Bhandara, I often see. I work in Amethi, so I found a lot of bhandara thing is going on, that peoples are being fed by communities. Langar also, people are there and they are feeding others. Zakat is also some amount of money is given, or some amount of resources given to those who have difficulties in their life. So zakat, bhandara, and langar is also a construct which is there in our country. Now, what is the implication of this? What is the importance of this? Now, a lot of research and clinical work has shown that if you ask someone to spend resource on yourself, or if you ask someone to spend resources can be any. One of the commonest thing is money. So if you give money to someone and ask them to spend money on themselves, or if you ask another group to spend money on others, researchers like Dunn, Atkin, and Norton, they found that when people spend money on others, okay, or they report more happiness and wellness. Okay, it means that this concept of langar, the concept of bandara, the concept of zakat is already in our culture, which we need to explore more and more, so that we can work in this direction, so that it can lead to our happiness. So construct number 2, bandara, langar, and zakat. This is not a new thing. It is already is there in our culture. We need to just work in depth on this so that we can improve health and happiness of our country. Next. Yeah, forgiveness. You know, if you observe as a scientist, as a social scientist, or as a behavior scientist, very strong component you will find people talking about, please forgive. If there is some turmoil, if there is interpersonal discord happening, or there is a group discord happening, many people say, maaf kar do isko. Okay, chal maaf kar de isko, forgive them, you know. So if you observe people's conversation or discourse, you will find this construct of forgiveness is very strongly is embedded in our country. Okay, but again, as I said, this construct is not much explored, not much used in our day-to-day practice, or not much used in clinical practice. And research has shown that, research and clinical evidence have shown that clear, strong evidence between forgiveness, positive health, and happiness. So those people who forgive, those people to forgive others, they have positive health and their happiness is more. But we need to remember that forgiveness is not just a one, but by saying, why, you know, I forgave you. It's a process which needs time and which needs a training. A lot of work has been done by Luskin. Frederick Luskin has done a wonderful work in this area. And he says that forgiveness requires a process. You know, it's like, you know, when we don't forgive the people, when we carry emotional baggages, so emotional baggage that we carry in our heart because someone has hurt us, you know, it increases the chances of many health-related issues, more importantly, cardiovascular disorders. So in the process of forgiveness, what happens is we actually try to decrease that emotional have in which has negative implications for health. So we need to work on this. So it requires training, as I said, and it has also a significant health implications. Next. Construct number 4, gratitude, you know. So gratitude, as we all know, it's nothing but, you know, acknowledging that someone has done something for you, which has contributed in your life, and you know, which has built your life. So gratitude is acknowledging the favors that people have done, because of which you have attained something, you know. So gratitude is a very strong component, again, is there in our country. If you observe people, they will say, you know, why Bhagwan ka shukar karo, you know, Bhagwan ne jo diya hai uska shukar karo. This is a very strong element is there, very strong construct is there. Now again, as I am saying, this construct of gratitude is highly ignored. When I say highly ignored, it means that it is not being put into a behavioral practice as it should be in a behavioral sense, and as it should be in a clinical sense. It has more a mechanical thing. Now let us see what is research tells us about that. Most of the research and clinical evidence have shown that gratitude, positive health, and happiness exist together. It means that those people who express gratitude, they have better health, better positive health, and their happiness is also more. This research is often done by very important person working in this area, McClure 2016. So gratitude is also very important component that is already exists in our country, that we need to explore it, use it in our day-to-day practice the way it has to be used. Next. Now, as construct 5 is spirituality and religion, I think it was talked about by Dr. Tripathi also. Spirituality and religion is so common, you know. If you observe people, discourse and language, most of the people somehow they use the word Ishwar. ईश्वर जो करता है अच्छा करता है, ईश्वर के कर्म से अच्छा हो गया, ईश्वर ने इतना मुझे दे दिया. It's all because of God. Okay, so spirituality and religion is so important, is strongly embedded in our culture, but it is again not much being, transformed into a behavior in a scientific way, in a scientific sense. I would say, no, spirituality basically means when you do something, the behavior that we are doing, it has some meaning and purpose, meaningful purpose, meaning and purposeful activity, which can contribute something but for your benefit and the benefit for others. That is spirituality. And religion is connected to this. Religion is, when we have some faith, systematic or organized system of belief, we call it religion. When we attain that purpose and meaningful purpose of our life, then it becomes spirituality. Spirituality and religion are strongly connected. A lot of work in this area of spirituality and religion has been done by Parjament. Parjament is a clinical psychologist. He has done a wonderful work on spirituality, and he has developed also a spiritual based psychotherapy. And Koenig is a psychiatrist actually, and he has said that faith, that people have, that also has strong element of strong, is one of the strongest element that has positive implications for people's health and happiness. That is a construct number 5. Next. Now, construct number 6, we all know Atithi Deva Bhavo. It is there, very common, A guest is akin to God. मेहमान जो आते हैं वो हमारे भगवान समान होते हैं, भगवान की तरह होता है मेहमान. It is again a strong interpersonal connection that is a construct of a country that is there. It talks about dynamics, guest and host relationship. If you go deep into this construct, you will find that it is actually saying that guests are very important. People are very important. Whenever they come to you as guests, you have to treat them nicely. Again, this element of interpersonal connection and interpersonal quality connection is being emphasized through this cultural construct of our country. Next. Now we need to reflect. We have, happiness as one of the important ideal goals. When people say khush raho in greetings, return of greeting, we have the thing like Atithe Bhavo. We have things like Kutumbukum. We have happiness. We have things like forgiveness. We have things like gratitude. We have things, spirituality. These are the things embedded strongly in our country. But reflections is required based on what research has shown on World Happiness Report. World Happiness Report 2022 has put India at 136th position out of 146 countries. Now, what we need to reflect is, out of 146 countries, India stood at 36th position, despite having strong embedded things like gratitude, spirituality, interpersonal connections, forgiveness. Why we still stood at 136 positions, right? That is a point that we all need to reflect. Number 2, Happiness Report of 2021, India was at 139th position. Again, a very higher position, higher in the sense we are very poor at happiness index. 2022 report, India was at 144 positions. 2019, India was at 140 positions. These are the points of reflection that despite having those 5 or 6 strong construct that is embedded in our culture, why happiness index of our country has been so low? Why people report so low in their happiness index despite these strong element of construct which has a strong connection with happiness? Why we are lacking in happiness report? Why we are so low in happiness? These are the things that we all need to reflect as scientists, as social scientists, as clinical psychologists, as psychologists, and as citizens of this country. हम बोलते तो हैं कि सब बराबर हैं, हम बोलते तो हैं कुटुंबकम की बात, लेकिन जब हम देखते हैं हैप्पीनेस इंडेक्स में तो हम इतने पीछे क्यों हैं? ये सवाल है हम सबको सोचने के लिए, एंड हम इसको कैसे बेटर कर सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट. Now, future directions in the sense, where are we leading from now onwards? Where we want to see the developed country, our developed India, bringing the 6 construct into conscious awareness and make them meaningful and purposeful ones rather than mechanical behaviors. Now, what does it mean? It means we know when we are doing a bhandara, when we are helping people or in the form of zakat, these behaviors are more mechanical behaviors. So what is required is, thing is we need to bring those constructs into a conscious awareness. And doing this by this behavior, this person's life will be improved. Okay, so that behavior, rather than becoming a mechanical activity, it should be transformed into more meaningful and purposeful activity. That is a future direction. We need to work on this like this. Training is required for that. We need to train people in the mentioned constructs using psychological strategies to have positive effect on people's health and improve their happiness. So now, suppose if someone is talking about gratitude, okay, we need to work in depth. When I say in depth, it means we need to bring those experiences into more conscious experiences. So person knows that, yes, someone has done a favor on me. Someone has, changed my life. Okay, so when it becomes into a conscious awareness, so people start thinking more about others' favors. So it will become more less mechanical and more meaningful activity. If we are giving something to someone, for example, in the form of langar, in the form of zakat, in the form of bandara, so it should be a meaningful activity. It should not be a mechanical activity. When I say meaningful activity, again, it means that I am doing something. It should not involve ego, that I am engaged in this activity because it will help the other person or other group. So it will become more meaningful and purposeful activity. And training people in these construct, in using psychological methods, so that they become more mindful of what they are doing, only then it can have a positive effect on their health and positive effect on improving their happiness. This is a future direction that we all need to think and work upon to improve the happiness index of our country also. Next. Yeah, so I thank everyone for this. I wanted my presentation to for reflective, despite having all these, we have our happiness index and our physical health and mental health is still very, very low and poor. So this is the end of my presentation. Then I request the audience to please put questions if there are any questions related to the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
I think the topic was extremely relevant, and the way you were connecting our basic values that we hold as 6 to 7 different constructs into how we can learn to work on our happiness as a society. I think it was really interesting. So I thank you for that. Moving on to the question, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. There are more than questions. There are certain comments that have been shared.
Please.
Yes, sir. One person is saying, I think, sir, we need to make deliberate efforts rather than taking them as granted by labeling them as basic values.
Very true.
Yes, sir. Before that, Mr. Azim has said that with a grand feast, people become tired instead of happy. And it is a pity now that we have to train people on basic values. So if there are any questions for sir, could you kindly put them in the chat box?
Yes, I think Mr. Azim is talking about, yes, there are positive psychology constructs. And now clinical psychology is blending with positive psychology. We are talking about clinical positive psychology. These things are there. We need to make yeah, deliberate and conscious efforts are required, but that element of intent is important, that I am doing this just for the sake of others. That intent is extremely important. Only then it will bring a positive change in our thoughts and behaviors. Only then it has effect on our health. That is an important thing.
Absolutely, sir. Is there any other question from the audience? I don't think so. I think the session was very self-explanatory, and the way you already explained was really good. So thank you so much for imparting us with your knowledge, sir. And so there
Thank
is
you. Thank
a
you.
question from Dr. Fogart. If may I read it out?
Yeah, yeah.
According to you, what is the right time for initiating such values in children?
What is the right time?
What is the right time for initiating such values in children?
Like, for example, which value? Can he be specific?
So, Dr. Fogart, could you unmute yourself and share your question?
Hello, sir.
Yes, yes.
So I'm Dr. Poonam Fogart from Gargi College, Delhi University. So I just, really liked your presentation, and I think this is the right way to move ahead in today's times. But I just wanted to, I also have some small children, and what is my question is basically about what is the right time when the child's mind, brain is able to, understand what we are trying to teach, because in our culture it is already there for example in the Hindu rituals, cultures, but the modern education has no space for it. So it's the onus is only on the parents, and as compared to our times when it was naturally imbibed in the education system, value education was there.
Okay. So what exactly is your question? What time? What is the right time for teaching?
The age stage at which the brain is mature enough to understand the purpose, meaning, others' well-being.
Okay. Purpose and meaning, I think, if you talk about spirituality, I think, to the best of my knowledge, the spiritual component can be taught around, we can start around 12 to 13 years of age. Okay. If you want to teach forgiveness, then forgiveness is something that requires connections and emotional understanding thing. So I think we can teach that around after the age of 6, 7, or 8. Okay. Remember this, teaching by verbal discourse does not work. Teaching by action works. So if we want to create values in children, we need to follow those values in our behavior first. So child will learn that my mom is doing this. So by observing the behavior of a mom or dad or uncle or aunt or teacher, he or she will start doing those behaviors. So discourse has to be action oriented rather than rather than verbal teaching. So I would like to tell you, Dr. Poonam, that William Damon is an educational psychologist. He has been working very hard on how we can build values in children. He's a psychologist. Okay, so to the best of my understanding, that values in modern education are not being like put into sight. A lot of work has been done in the area of education, and William Damon is one of the pioneers in this area. You can go and read his work, Values in Education by William Damon. Yeah, I hope I have clarified your query, Dr. Poonam.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, sir. I think this is all the time we had for our session. Once again, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude for honoring us with your presence.
Thank you.
And thank you, audience, for being so interactive and putting forward such important questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks again.
Now I would like to invite Professor Dr. Agha Parvez Misri to give a vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. And on the behalf of all of the members of the organizing committee, I am very thankful to Professor Mustafa Nadeem Kirmani of MIT University for delivering a valuable lecture in this 4th international conference. Beside him, I am also thankful from the core of my heart to Professor Raza Mir, William Patterson University, USA, Professor Nasreen of AMU, Dr. Archana Shukla of Lucknow University, Professor Rakesh Tripathi of KGMC, Lucknow, and Honorable Manager, Mr. S. Abbas Murtaza Shamsi Saab. He is the manager and the patron of this conference. Beside this, he is the Secretary of Board of Trustees, Shia PG College. On the behalf of all the members of the organizing committee and participants, I am thankful to all these esteemed guests and speakers for giving their valuable lectures to enlighten us. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll close the session and we'll begin the scientific sessions at 1:30 sharp. Thank you.